What's up, Eagles Nation? What's going on, NFL world? How you doing, division rivals? This is Steven Hyder, Gate City Sports Channel. Sports channel where the cerebral NFL fan comes for about 10 minutes of daily content. All right, y'all. It pretty much says it all inside the thumbnail and basically inside of the actual title for this video. Not a lot of bells and whistles here to unpack, guys. We're just talking 53-man roster. So just to lay out kind of how I'm viewing this, guys, and I'm going to put the link in after I get done talking about mine. I want to hear your guys' opinion. I want to know what you guys have if you have a working 53 together. I want to see where we differ, where we have agreement, things like that. But long story short, guys, there were a few players I had to cut off of my 53-man roster that I think in other years would have absolutely have made this roster. So there's just no way of shaking it out. Players that are talented enough to be on other teams' rosters are going to get cut off of this roster. I tried every which way I could think of, but I couldn't get around that one very, very basic fact. So, quick ground rules, 53-man roster, okay? And then you have the same kind of rules that apply from last year to where what I read up on was, according to ESPN, there will be a 16-man practice squad. And yes, guys, I will do my best to get you the 16-man practice squad. I'll give you some ideas. We all know the practice squad, you can't be 100% because there are players on other teams we will sign to the practice squad that we don't know about yet. But I'll give you, from the list we have, the 16 guys I would keep personally that I left off my 53-man roster. Okay, so we'll get to all that. And then, like I said, guys, I'll kick it over to you guys, and I want to hear your thoughts on how you guys have the 53-man roster, right? And I'll try to give justification before I do that, guys, about why I picked the roster the way I did, why I'm viewing it in this way. And, guys, as always, it's subject to change, guys. I can only go off of what I've heard reported in training camp, the little bit of clips and things I've seen from training camp, and one preseason game. That's really the only information I have to discern from to figure out this 53-man roster. So it could drastically change by what happens in these joint practices against the Patriots and the Jets, and what happens in the next two preseason games could completely reshape what I think about the roster, guys, just to be up forward and honest about that situation. All right, guys, let me go through and just say what's up to a few people. I see you guys kind of coming in. Tavern Mike already jumping in here talking about, hey, the Eagles activated LaRaven Clark. Yes, they did. That's big, big news. I agree. Going to be a few final tough cuts on that O-line. 100% agree. Wait till I get the O-line. It's tough, man. Dillard is missing some valuable time to prove he can rebound and earn a spot. Spot on. I agree. What's up, Big Play Slay? How you doing, buddy? Good to have you here, man. I got Jonathan Holly says, I really want to see Jackson make it as the third tight end. What's up, Troy Singleton? How you doing, buddy? Jalen said apples are not red, they're green. If they're a green apple and when they first are, I guess maturing on the tree, I agree. We got Jock Talk. What's going on, Jock Talk? How you doing, buddy? NFC East Beast has dropped the J.J. Arcega-Whiteside handle. What happened, NFC East Beast? You weren't confident going into this 53-man roster projection, man? What's up, Al Kabir, the analyst? What's good, my guy? Another really good content creator, guys. He covers a wide variety of topics. I really enjoy his content, guys. Daniel, what's going on, buddy? How are you, man? Monty Boyd, what's going on, buddy? How are you, man? And a lot of y'all chiming in. I really appreciate it, guys. I'm trying to get to everybody. What's up, Primetime Stephen Joyce? What's up, Paul? How you doing, buddy? Azar, what's going on, my guy? How are you doing, buddy? All right, Jock Talk. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start talking in a minute, guys. Now we got poetry popping up on the screen, guys. Roses are red, violets are blue. Eagles are going to kick NFC East. You know what, too. I can't say that they're going to demonetize me. Will the league add 18 games per season? Hey, JJ, it's heading that way, buddy. I mean, I don't know ultimately, but they seem to be trending in that direction. So, I mean, seems that way. What's up, Waylon? Long time no see, buddy. Caleb Rodriguez, how you doing, man? Primetime Stephen Joy. Steve, you playing fantasy football again? I saw the chats there, man. Yeah, I'll hit you guys up inside the league thing in a minute, guys. People jump down Hurst over an overthrown pass to Quez. It's really not that big a deal, guys. I wouldn't make too big of a deal about that on the first preseason game of the year. Linebacker core, what are your thoughts? tricky, Richie. We're going to get into that. I'm going to go over my complete 53-man roster, guys. I'm going to get into why I made some of the selections I made. And linebacker is very tricky. Jonathan Holly, you see how we are now being linked for trading for Michael Thomas? You know, I don't know if we have the ability to add him in here because he's going to, even if he doesn't cost us that much now, in the future he will. But I can tell you right now, that's one of the best receivers in the league, man. I have a hard time not wanting that to happen. I doubt it happens, Jonathan. I do. But, boy, I'd be really happy if it did, man. NFC East B said, being J-Jaw is a thankless position. I hear you, bro. I hear you, man. Can't wait to hear your 53-man predictions. Coming up, Troy. I'm about to get to it, guys. They need to have bigger rosters. Yeah, you know what, Jock Talk? I agree. I don't know why they didn't just go to a 55-man, straight-up 55-man roster with a 16 practice squad because we're adding games. We're adding games to the league, kind of getting to, some of the points that other people were making, that, we're expanding how many games are played. So why not? I agree, guys. No one mentions Quez got grabbed on that 98-yard touchdown that got overthrown. Yeah, it's true. Got held up a little bit, Jock Talk. That's true. All right, guys. So let me get into it, man. We got 30 people in the live stream. I appreciate you all. All right, we're going to start off with the offense, guys. All right, I'm just going to jump right into it. I'm going to talk to you guys. I'm going to tell you why I picked what I picked. So offensively, I'm going to lay out how I shaped it, why I shaped it. So 2 quarterbacks, 4 running backs, 5 wide receivers, 10 O-linemen, 4 tight ends, total of 25 offensive players. I'll tell you right now that the one fault that can be seen here is that you can rob Peter to pay Paul, meaning you can only carry 24 players and carry 26 defensive players if you want, or vice versa. You can carry 26 offensive players, 24 defensive players. I'm just going to go with an even split 25-25 just for clarity's sake, okay? Just to make it easy, all right? So here's the deal, guys. 2 quarterbacks. Who did I put on the roster? This is not a mystery, guys. Joe Flacco, Jalen Hurts being QB1. I'm specifying Jalen Hurts being QB1 because I named Flacco first. I want to make sure that people are clear on what I'm saying here. Jalen Hurts will be our starting quarterback. Joe Flacco will be quarterback number 2. Give me a second. I'll get into the situation of how you go forth into a season with only 2 quarterbacks and a COVID-related season. I'll get to all that, guys. I promise you. Just stick it out, and I'll explain some of this stuff. 4 running backs. My running backs are, and this is where it gets sticky, and I think this is where the first controversy could easily come into play, guys. Miles Sanders, Jordan Howard, Boston Scott, Kenneth Gainwell. Those are my 4. Now, I will tell you this. I don't think this running back competition is over by a long shot. This can drastically change in the next week or 2, to be quite honest. I do not think Kerryon Johnson is out of this competition yet. I don't think Huntley's out of this competition yet. But judging from what I saw in early camp to compare to the first week of preseason, I think Jordan Howard is clearly ahead of Kerryon Johnson right now. And I think, although I heard a lot of positive talk about Jason Huntley in camp, and Jason Huntley's got more opportunities to prove what people were seeing in camp, in the game, I thought that there was a clear difference in athletic ability between Gainwell and Huntley. Gainwell was just way more explosive, in my opinion, although Huntley still looked really explosive and looked like a good player himself too. But right now I got it as Sanders, Howard, Scott, Gainwell are my 4 running backs. All right, guys. Wide receivers. I got 5. I have 5 wide receivers, guys. So I know that number seems light. Just keep in mind, guys, we have a practice squad to fill out. And I do think that practice squad, because it has expanded to 16 players for the second year in a row, will probably allow you to make 2 active call-ups per game. So you can protect 2 players and call them up. So wide receivers, the 5 guys I have. All right, y'all ready for this? Devontae Smith, Jalen Reagor, Quez Watkins, Greg Ward Jr., Travis Fulgham. This is tough, man. You can already see I cut a couple of guys. Some of those guys were draft picks. It is what it is, guys. You know what I mean? I couldn't. I tried, guys. I tried, and I'm going to justify to you why I'm only keeping 5 and not 6. Just stick with me, all right? Offensive line, guys, I went offensive line heavy. I went 10 guys. 10 guys. Jordan Mailata, Isaac Seumalo, Jason Kelsey, Brandon Brooks, Lane Johnson. Those are your starters. I will say this. I wouldn't rule out trades still happening. I still think a lot of stuff could happen between now and August 31st when that 53-man roster has to be created. But the initial 53-man has to be created. But as of right now, if I'm judging who's on the roster, I think those 5s are clearly locks. So let's get to my backups because I got 5 reserves. All right, guys. I have Andre Dillard. I know literally last week with Mike and Reese, I was arguing that I don't think Dillard's a lock on this roster anymore. And I don't think he's a lock on the roster because he's injured right now. LaRaven Clark is returning. I think LaRaven Clark's going to have an opportunity, but I'm just taking a wild guess that the Eagles are not going to just rid themselves of a first-round pick this suddenly. Although I know I argued last week that this is a greater possibility than any of us would have thought a year ago. And, a year ago, none of us would have thought this a year ago. But I got him on this time. He's the 6, right? All right, so I got my 5 backups being Andre Dillard, Nate Herbig, Jack Driscoll, Landon Dickerson. This is my first surprise of the roster, okay? A lot of deserving people who could take this spot. This is by no stretch of the imagination, this is a link, nor do I expect everybody here inside of the chat to agree with me. I think you can plug and play a lot of guys here. I chose Coyote Owasika. Okay, Coyote Owasika, the undrafted rookie free agent from Buffalo. He's a guard tackle swing guy. He's had a really good camp. I was kind of impressed with him. I won't say I was overly impressed with him, but I thought he had a fairly good preseason game. I like Owasika a lot, guys. I have Owasika as that 10th final spot. So once again, my offensive line is Malata, Seomalu, Kelsey, Brooks, Johnson, Dillard, Herbig, Driscoll, Dickerson, Owasika. I'm going to get back to this offensive line and why I put Owasika there because I know I got some explaining to do. Granted, I understand that, guys. Just bear with me. When I get done with everything, then we'll talk about why I made certain decisions and I'll allow you guys to ask questions about why I made certain decisions. And then I'll get your guys' take on what you have for the 53. Tight ends, 4. I went 4 tight ends, so I robbed Peter to pay Paul. I took from the wide receivers and gave to the tight ends. All right. Goddard, Ertz, Rodgers, Tyree Jackson. Guys, Tyree Jackson didn't have a great per se, preseason game, but he had enough to open your eyes. You can clearly see the talent. Yeah, I knew Jalen. As soon as I wrote down Owasika, I knew that you were going to come for me about Owasika because I have not been quiet that I thought that he would be the one guy that would have a shot. Tyree Jackson, though, I had a hard time cutting him, guys. Probably this, call it a miniature because I think a lot of us have him on the roster, a miniature second. I will say this. If something happens with Ertz, he becomes your 3. The Eagles could also just tell Richard Rodgers, look, we have this young kid. We're afraid that if we cut him, either someone could claim him, which is very unlikely. A lot of guys don't get claimed. It's pretty rare to claim somebody, but it could happen, right? Or someone could offer him more money to be on their practice squad. So, the Eagles may not want to expose him to that. So maybe they go to Richard Rodgers and say, look, man, don't sign. If someone claims you, then, hey, you can't do with that. That's the rules. But if you don't get claimed, don't sign anywhere, man. We're going to bring you back. So I could see those kind of scenarios. But for me, I got 4 tight ends. So 2 quarterbacks, 4 running backs, 5 wide receivers, 10 offensive linemen, 4 tight ends. I will name the 25 offensive players I have on the 53-man roster one more time. Jalen Hurts, Joe Flacco, Miles Sanders, Jordan Howard, Boston Scott, Kenneth Gainwell, Devontae Smith, Jalen Reagor, Quez Watkins, Greg Ward Jr., Travis Fulgham, Jordan Mailata, Isaac Seomalu, Jason Kelsey, Brandon Brooks, Lane Johnson, Andre Dillard, Nate Herbig, Jack Driscoll, Landon Dickerson, Coyote Owasika, Dallas Goedert, Zach Ertz, Richard Rodgers, Tyree Jackson. That's my early. Okay? Let's go defense, guys. Like I said, same thing applies on defense that applied to offense. I did 25 and 25, guys. I know that that's probably not the reality of how things are going to kind of, you know what I'm saying, come out and shake out, guys, but I'm just trying to make it easy, man. Just trying to make it easy. All right, let's go with this one, guys. Defensive line, I put 9 guys on. Linebackers, I put 6. Cornerbacks, I put 6. Sorry, I didn't write it down. Safeties, I put 4. So 9 defensive linemen, 6 linebackers, 6 cornerbacks, 4 safeties. A lot of explaining to do. Just stick with me. I know some of you guys are going, Gate, why didn't you go heavy safety? Just stick with me. I'm going to explain that, okay? All right, my 9 defensive linemen. Let's get to it. Let's rip the Band-Aid off. Y'all ready? Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, Javon Hargrave, Derek Barnett is the starters. Derek Barnett, Josh Sweat, it doesn't matter who takes the first snap. They're probably going to get pretty equal snap distribution. I don't think it matters who starts technically. I think they're both going to play pretty equal amounts of time, all right? Which brings me to the 5th guy, which is obviously Josh Sweat, all right? Then I have T.Y. McGill, Hassan Ridgeway, Ryan Kerrigan, Milton Williams. Those are my 9. The way I looked at defensive line, because, man, I had a hard time keeping Ridgeway and McGill, but I looked at those young guys, and I didn't, Raequan Williams, I don't think had a particularly good game. And I'll be honest with you, as high as I was on Marlon Tuipulotu, I think it's a guy that you have to get stronger. He's got to get stronger. I wouldn't use a roster spot for him right now. He's too much to prove for me, man. So I got Cox, Graham, Hargrave, Barnett, Sweat, McGill, Ridgeway, Kerrigan, Williams. All right. Linebackers, I carried 6. All right. Remind you guys, I'm going to give more in-depth explanations when I get done with everything, okay? I carried 6 linebackers. Here they are, guys. Eric Wilson, Alex Singleton, Jannard Avery as your base starters, okay? Probably not going to play too much base, guys. So make of that what you will. All right. Backups. Davion Taylor, I think, is a definite, right? So I got Davion Taylor, TJ Edwards, Sean Bradley. Linebackers was heartbreaking to try to come to a decision on, and I would not be shocked to be wrong here. I honestly would not be shocked if I'm wrong and Sean Bradley gets subbed out for somebody, if TJ Edwards gets subbed out for somebody. Because I think the first 4 seem kind of known. I think Jannard Avery, for some reason, everything I've heard going on is he's going to make the roster. Could change, but that's what I'm hearing so far, guys. I got those 6 guys. Stick with me. Remember, we got a 16-man practice squad. All right, cornerbacks. I put 6 cornerbacks on the roster. Y'all ready for this? Darius Slay, Steven Nelson, Avonte Maddox as your starters. 3 reserves will be this: Zach McPherson, Josiah Scott, Craig James. You already know I got an upset here, guys. I really, truly believe Michael Jacquet can be a good player in this league. I still think he's a work in progress. I still think that's a young man you develop and you bring up on occasion for active game day stuff. I just think Craig James gives you more value on special teams and things like that right now than Michael Jacquet. I wouldn't stress putting a guy like Michael Jacquet on the roster until there was an injury and you had to get more size at corner or something like that. That was my early justification here, guys, for that, okay? But those are my 6 corners: Slay, Nelson, Maddox, McPherson, Scott, James. Safety. I kept 4 safeties, and I know we got some injuries here. Anthony Harris, Rodney McLeod, Kavon Wallace, Marcus Epps. Tough decisions here, guys. 3 specialists. Kicker, Jake Elliott. Punter, Aaron Sipas, whatever his name is. Long snapper, Rick Lovato. All right. The most confusing, most difficult part to discuss. The 16-man practice squad. These are the guys that I thought have value, right? Have value to be on the practice squad. I divided it up very evenly between offense and defense, 8 offensive players, 8 defensive players. Is that the reality of how the NFL works? Probably not, guys. But just for argument's sake, that's how I did it. All right. All right. We have to carry a 3rd quarterback, and I did that on the practice squad with Nick Mullins. Nick Mullins was pretty bad. I feel like you probably could get him through to the practice squad. Okay. There was one guy I really battled back and forth with putting on the active roster over Owasika. I put Owasika on there. But the guy I probably would have subbed out for Owasika would have been center/guard Luke Juriga. So my 2nd guy on the practice squad is Luke Juriga. The 3rd guy, once again, we're sticking to offensive line here, Sua Peta. I think Sua Peta has 1 more year of eligibility for practice squad. So I have Sua Peta on the practice squad. And then last but not least, in terms of the offensive line guys I kept tackle Brett Toth on the practice squad. All right, so I got Mullins, Driga, Apeta, Brett Toth so far. That's 4. All right. The last 4 guys offensively on this practice squad I have: John Hightower, Jamon Osborne, Jack Stahl, Jason Huntley. So the 8 offensive players I put on the practice squad are as follows: Nick Mullins, Luke Juriga, Sua Peta, Brett Toth, John Hightower, Jamon Osborne, Jack Stahl, Jason Huntley. Those were the 8 guys I put on there. Stick with me. We're going to get into the guys I cut. 8 defensive players I decided to put on here. I went a little heavy on the defensive line on the practice squad because I only kept 9 defensive linemen, right? So defensive players on the practice squad, okay? Defensive end, Teron Jackson. Defensive end, Jaquan Bailey. Defensive tackle, Marlon Tuipulotu. Defensive tackle, Raequan Williams. Okay, those are the first 4. The next subsequent 4 has to do with 2 of those are right off the bat. I kept linebackers, guys, just to not keep you guys in suspense, guys. All right, practice squad, I put Patrick Johnson. I was really impressed with Patrick Johnson on Thursday. I thought Patrick Johnson played a really good game, guys. I was really impressed with what I saw from Patrick Johnson. That's my 5. Number 6, Jacoby Stevens got injured at an unfortunate moment. Missed a little too much time for me to put him on the active roster. Still a guy that I think, at the end of the season might end up on the 53, but probably not initially. All right, number 7 was Michael Jacquet, so I kept a cornerback, and then I kept a safety, Elijah Riley. So my practice squad, my 16-man practice squad is as follows, guys. Nick Mullins, Luke Juriga, Sua Peta, Brett Toft, John Hightower, Joanna Osborne, Jack Stahl, Jason Huntley, Teron Jackson, Jaquan Bailey, Marlon Tuipulotu, Raekwon Williams, Patrick Johnson, Jacoby Stevens, Michael Jacquet, Elijah Riley. That's my 16-man practice squad. So, because I know some of y'all are just tuning in, let's run it all the way back, guys. Let's run it all the way back. Quarterbacks, Jalen Hurts, Joe Flacco. Running backs, Miles Sanders, Jordan Howard, Boston Scott, Kenneth Gainwell. Wide receivers, Devontae Smith, Jalen Reagor, Quez Watkins, Greg Ward Jr., Travis Fulgham. Offensive linemen, Jordan Mailata, Isaac Seumalo, Jason Kelsey, Brandon Brooks, Lane Johnson, Andre Dillard, Nate Herbig, Jack Driscoll, Landon Dickerson, Coyote Owasika. Tight ends, Dallas Goedert, Zach Ertz, Richard Rodgers, Tyree Jackson. Defensive line, Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, Siobhan Hargrave, Derek Barnett, Josh Sweat, T.Y. McGill, Hassan Ridgeway, Ryan Kerrigan, Milton Williams. Linebackers, Eric Wilson, Alex Singleton, Jannard Avery, Davion Taylor, T.J. Edwards, Sean Bradley. Cornerbacks, Darius Slay, Steven Nelson, Avonte Maddox, Zach McPherson, Josiah Scott, Craig James. Safety, Anthony Harris, Rodney McLeod, Kevon Wallace, Marcus Epps. Practice squad, 16 guys on the practice squad are as follows. Nick Mullins, Luke Juriga, Sua Peta, Brett Toft, John Hightower, Jamon Osborne, Jack Stahl, Jason Huntley, Teron Jackson, Jaquan Bailey, Marlon Tuipulotu, Raekwon Williams, Patrick Johnson, Jacoby Stevens, Michael Jacquet, Elijah Riley. I can tell you my early indication for what they would probably do in terms of the 2 elevated players, because there's so many injuries at safety. I would greatly expect that someone like Elijah Riley would probably get called up for game day. Even on the practice squad, he'd probably be week 1, probably be called up because McLeod and Wallace, we don't know their status yet. That would be my early hunch. And I could see them using both spots on defense. I could see them playing Michael Jacquet week 1 too and calling him up as well because, corners, modern NFL, what happens if you got to play Avonte Maddox at safety, so you got to move Josiah Scott or Zach McPherson into the slot. You need another outside corner. So I could see that too, man. You know what I mean? I could see a lot of that kind of coming and going. You know what I mean? I think all that kind of is true here, guys. So the last topic to talk about is some of the controversial players I left off of the roster. Y'all ready for this? Matt Pryor, LaRaven Clark. I don't think those guys are out of it necessarily, guys. It's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying on my initial 53 as I shaped the roster, LaRaven Clark he hasn't played, man. So it's hard to project him in there, even though the coaching staff is clearly familiar with him, right? The coaching staff knows LaRaven Clark because most of these guys are coming over for Indianapolis. Matt Pryor, I think Matt Pryor is one of these guys that let us all down last year because there was so much hope after how well he played in 2019 that he looked best to me at left tackle in 2020. That's weird. He did not play up to standards at right guard. I still think Matt Pryor has a fighting chance to make this roster. I think you can make the argument that Matt Pryor is certainly better right this second than a guy like Coyote Owasika. But my argument is where Matt Pryor's about to come up to where you're going to have to sign this guy to a longer deal. Owasika seems like a back end of the roster developmental guy that can play if you really need him to, but he's not using up unwarranted or unmerited space. You know what I mean? Because Herbig's probably going to be your first guard off the bench. Either Dillard or Driscoll will be your first tackles the way I have it shaped. So, you know what I'm saying? It kind of is what it is. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, Matt Pryor's about to come up for contract issues and stuff like that. So I can see him getting cut, guys. I mean, I don't think it's a 100% thing. I do think he's still got a fighting chance to make this roster, but I didn't put him on. Hightower and J.J. Arcega-Whiteside were the bigger cuts on the wide receiver group. Hightower basically going to the practice squad. JJ, I do think is going to get picked up off of claimers. former second-round pick, big body wide receiver. I think somebody's going to claim him and try to work him. I do think you can make a case that Hightower would get picked up too, but I don't think that's a 100%, guys. Maybe, maybe not. I do think there's a chance that Hightower could probably slip through because Hightower does have a lot of work still to go in terms of his maturity. I think that's kind of out there across the league. He's got maturity issues. But you never know. Guys get claimed. It does happen, but it's rarer than people think. In terms of the running backs, the big cut there is probably Kerryon Johnson. I mean, Jason Huntley, I put him on the practice squad, so he's still really an eagle in this scenario. But, you know, Kerryon Johnson was cut underneath the scenario. I don't think Kerryon Johnson is out of this race, guys. I'm just talking about right this second how I'm viewing the roster. I think Jordan Howard has the nod over him right now. But I do think Kerryon Johnson has time to level the playing field and to get involved in this talk a little more. Other guys, you know, I liked Grayland Arnold a lot last year. He just did not have the camp I was expecting, guys. You know, I thought Grayland Arnold would have a better camp than this. And it wasn't enough, in my opinion, to hold him on. And then I looked at Elijah Riley seems to be ahead of him. So it would be Grayland Arnold or Elijah Riley. I would keep at the safety / nickel corner, kind of can play either position. And I went to Elijah Riley, and that meant cutting Grayland Arnold. And I really think Grayland Arnold's talented, man. I actually think if you work with Grayland Arnold long enough, he could potentially be a back end of the roster type player. I do think he has that kind of talent. But I cut him. The other one is a long-term guy. He's been with the Eagles for a while. Probably had a moment in time in 2019 where he could have made the roster, but it just didn't work out. That's Joe Osman. Joe Osman is cut. I don't think that's that controversial, guys, but that's who I have left off, guys. That's my 53. That's my 16-man practice squad. That's who I left out. Just to go into depth about why I kept so many offensive linemen. I kept 10 offensive linemen because Landon Dickerson is down, and we don't know what's going to happen with Dillard if he's even ready to play. So that really leaves us with Herbig and Driscoll early in the year if Dillard's not ready and if Dickerson's not ready, because Oasika is still a guy that you probably don't want out there taking too many snaps early. Quarterbacks, I kept 2, carried 1 on the practice squad. I just feel like you don't want to keep 3 quarterbacks unless you have to. I know because it's a COVID season, people are theorizing we might. I get it. I understand why you guys are saying that, guys. I get it. But it robs away from a position group that could contribute on special teams, could contribute if someone gets hurt. You know what I'm saying? There's just so many other ways of getting value outside of keeping a third quarterback, in my opinion. Running backs, I think I've done a pretty good job explaining why I kept the guys I kept. Wide receivers, I went 5. I went 5 wide receivers because as I looked at it, I had a competition between Tyree Jackson, okay, Hightower, and J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. I think Tyree Jackson deserves a spot over J-Jaw and, honestly, over John Hightower. Doesn't mean I'm going to be right, guys. They might go 6 receivers and 3 tight ends. It's possible. Makes sense in many ways. But I honestly think Tyree Jackson has outplayed them. That's why I went 4 tight ends. And I already talked about some of the scenarios that could happen, you know, because you could have Richard Rodgers that, you know, they ask him to like, hey, man, we're going to bring you back, but, you know, stay by the phone. You know, we want to carry this young guy on the roster for a little bit, but stay by your phone. We're going to call you back. You know, or Zach Ertz could get dealt. We don't know. I mean, all those things are still gate no gymnastics with the practice squad with vets. I don't know the rules around some of these veterans, man, because they changed a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? I know that they changed the rules last year around veterans and keeping them on the practice squad. I don't know the exact rules, so I tried to avoid it, Jalen, because I don't know the rules exactly. Defensive lineman, I went 9. And let me explain why I went 9. I went 9 because in a pinch, you can always play Jannard Avery at defensive end. Also, Milton Williams can rotate in as a defensive tackle if absolutely necessary, and he can play defensive end. So I think the roster gave you flexibility, and I went really heavy on the practice squad with defensive line. I kept 4 D linemen on the practice squad. So, I mean, I feel like I covered it, and I kept guys around. Now, are we likely to carry 4? Maybe, maybe not. Might be more likely 3, but I went heavy D-line on the practice squad. So I felt the flexibility I had with Milton Williams, the flexibility I had with a guy like Jannard Avery, I just felt like I can get by with 9 defensive linemen. I went 6 linebackers, which is heavy, especially if we're playing primarily sub-package. But linebackers are heavy contributors to special teams. That's the other side of it. You get what I'm saying? So I went 6, knowing that we may only play 2 linebackers on 60% of snaps or more, but they contribute a lot to special teams, so I kept them around. I went 6 cornerbacks. I think we're all probably mostly thinking 6 cornerbacks. I think you can make a case for only keeping 5, adding an extra defensive lineman, 6 linebackers, 5 corners. But I think because of the injuries to safety, I think you keep a spot open for a guy like Avonte Maddox to have to potentially play over the top as a safety because of necessity. So because of that, I made sure I really shored up the secondary. I kept 4 safeties. I think you can absolutely make a case to do 5 corners and 5 safeties, but I kept 4. I went Harris, McLeod, Wallace, and Epps. I think you could absolutely keep Elijah Riley as well and do, put Craig James, cut him or whatever, do 5 and 5. I think Josiah Scott's probably going to make it, guys. My opinion. All right, guys, I did a lot of explaining. I think all we have to do now is get to your guys' thoughts. All right, so I'll answer a few of them here. Jock Talk says, I agree with you on Tyree. And he says, I want Huntley on kickoffs. I think, though, that on kickoff returns, though, I think they're going to work Kenneth Gainwell there, though. So Jock Talk said, Gate, I got a question. Now that we have seen Milton Williams, would you rather have him or Aleem from NC State? That's a hard question for me, man. I'm an NC State guy. I'm an alum. I'd rather have a nose tackle given the nature of what's going on. But to be honest with you, splitting hairs here, right? Because I do think that this young man was really good in Thursday's game. So he might be an impactful swing guy. I think it's a coin flip, honestly. But to be honest with you, I haven't really followed how Lee McNeil's doing. He's a very athletic guy. Lee McNeil was like he played a little running back and linebacker, I believe, in high school, guys. I remember having friends that really scouted him heavily. And man, he was a big time recruit for NC State. Probably should have chose a bigger school, to be honest with you, because he definitely had way larger schools that were calling. Appreciate you, Philly Girl 76. She says, good stream. Maybe one day I can get some help finding the dang membership link. I just hit me up like on Twitter or Insta or just on the comment section of YouTube, and I'll post how to get to it. Yeah, so Jalen said no gymnastics with the practice squad with vets. Yeah, man, it's complex to do that, man, because I don't know the rules exactly. I got to read the rule book. I haven't read the rule book to say that. NSESB said Jay Jaw's going to the Argonauts in the CFL. Maybe. Ooh, Saints or Seahawks? Maybe, Richie. You might be onto something. Matt Pryor can get his 2 cheesesteaks at Pat's. Funny. Jalen providing a little insight to LaRaven Clark. He's a big guy. LaRaven Clark it's physical. It's the physical ability, the physicalness of the guy. That's why people are intrigued with him. But he said Clark isn't good. He has the perfect measurables, as you're getting to, but his technique is very flawed and he's a bit lazy. He's got a lot to do in pass pro. He's got a lot to learn in pass pro. Pat's going to videotape practice. Dillard should out too. It's kind of tough though, Waylon, man. First round pick. I know I argued that exactly last week, Waylon. I'll admit I argued that exact point with you, but it's kind of hard, man. Why did they cut Jamie Newman? Because it was a mistake. Now, I mean, to be honest, Mr. Wing, I didn't see him in practice. I don't know how, maybe he didn't grasp the offensive concepts fast enough for their liking. I don't know. But I liked Jamie Newman a lot, man. I thought he was a perfect developmental guy. What else we got here, man? Teron Jackson over Ridgeway on the D-line with T.Y. and Milton as 3 and 4. Thing is, though, is that Milton Williams can play a little, 3 tech and a little defensive tackle, but he's not a defensive tackle, man. I mean, the thing that confused everybody is because of lack of Scott and because of opt-outs for COVID, basically they had to ask him if he would go from defensive end to defensive tackle last year. But he's a defensive end, primarily through college is what he was. But, I mean, we'll see. Does anyone else think that the Eagles should have a second quarterback with talents closer to Hurts than Flacco has? Yeah, I argued that from the start. That's why I wanted Jamie Newman. But, yeah. All right, guys. I think it's time for me to go ahead and post the link and have you guys come in and let's talk. If you guys got your 53 ready, let me know your 53. Name your 53. If you got a practice squad ready, give me your practice squad and let's talk. You guys can just talk about who I had, who I put on the 53 and on the practice squad as well. It's fine. But I just put it inside the chat, guys. So whenever y'all ready to come in, let's talk, guys. What's up, Leon? I appreciate that, buddy. No problem, man. I don't mind. I don't mind going out there and putting out my 53-man roster and realizing that 20% of what I said was wrong. It's tough, man. It's tough to predict 53-man rosters, especially with a new coach. I always felt like I could get within 1 to 2 players with Doug here and with Howie, but I do worry about, accuracy with a new coach. What's up, Sonic 2? How you doing, buddy?
Fine. How you doing?
Doing good, man. So what's your thoughts on the 53-man roster? You got to work in one?
Well, I was kind of hoping that AJ Killens wasn't going to get cut, but I mean, I guess I digress.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough because, when you looked at the depth at wide receiver, and he might be a guy, Sonic, they bring back onto the practice squad. I wouldn't rule out Adrian Killen's return and then to keep working him as a slot because, Nick Sirianni, to me, looks like he was seeking to have a more explosive vertical slot option. And when he didn't feel like he was getting it out of the wide receivers, we saw that he kind of immediately turned to those running backs. I wouldn't be shocked to see, a guy like Adrian Killens come back to the practice squad after clearing waivers, especially if he's still there after August 31st and being utilized in that and, being trained, worked with in that kind of role.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I definitely think it's a possibility. Do you have any of yours where you feel like, okay, like I would have kept this player over that player?
No, it was just AJ Killens. I think that was it.
Just Killens. So what do you think about Sirianni in the system?
When we got him, I was like, okay, we got a coach that was with our old OC, I guess, OC guy that's with the Colts. I was like, I have no idea who this guy is. But after he brought some new guys in and helped this offense and I guess defense, I'm really liking this coach.
Yeah. I definitely think that the early things we heard from the national media were so wrong it wasn't funny. It was so off base that they thought he was going to be too soft, couldn't coach the players, and like the guy's the complete opposite. And what cracks me up is that if anyone watched any of his like installments and films that they had on the Indianapolis Colts website, you could see this guy wasn't a pushover.
Exactly. He's probably gonna be a better coach than a Doug, but I will say this. So Doug will always favoritism guys and just not say anything. Like seriously, he would give Carson Wentz something like a fist pump or something like that when he played horribly. And I was so mad. I was like, really? You give this guy a fist pump and not yell at him? But that's all gonna change with Nick Sirianni.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of this coaching staff is very involved, and they're not scared to get in the players' faces. I mean, it wasn't just Sirianni that jumped in Rager's face when Rager was really out there not giving his full effort into the route. Patullo was all over Rager before it even got to Sirianni. Then Sirianni got on him. So I mean, this coaching staff it's definitely player development, centered.
Exactly.
So anyone else, guys, like I said, guys, feel free to come in. If you guys want to talk a little bit about who I kept on the roster, if you guys want to ask questions of why I left certain people off the roster, if you want to give me your 53-man, your practice squad, you're more than welcome. I mean, that's why I kept some time for you guys to come in and do this, because I want to hear y'all's thoughts, guys. It helps, man, because when I hear other people justify things, it helps me kind of sort through what I think and what I believe. You know what I mean? In terms of like the roster. So, I mean, guys, you're more than welcome to come in. You're more than welcome to talk your 53. You're more than welcome to ask me certain questions about who I kept on the 53, why I did certain things. I mean, you know, I had a feeling that the quarterback thing might be a little more controversial than what it seems to have been so far. I thought you guys would be more questions about Gate. You know, how do you not go 3 quarterbacks in a COVID season? So I was definitely prepared to talk about that. But come on in, guys. You're welcome to come in, man. 3-card Monty, I kept Boston Scott on the roster. My running backs were Sanders, Howard, Scott, and Gainwell. So this is what I heard, 3-card Monty. I heard that Boston Scott is actually having a really good camp, and he's been really good catching the ball out of the backfield. And because Nick Sirianni, I think a lot of us are perceiving, is going to use the running backs as receivers, you know, extensively. Like, this is not going to be just a little here and there. You know what I mean? Like,
I think Boston Scott's probably just going to be on the active roster after the preseason. I mean, because really, I actually liked him when he actually played against the Giants. Call him the Giants killer, the new one.
Yeah, absolutely. So running backs and wide receivers, I'll name it one more time, guys. I see some questions in the comments about it. So Miles Sanders, Jordan Howard, Boston Scott, Kenneth Gainwell. Wide receivers, Devontae Smith, Jalen Reagor, Quez Watkins, Greg Ward Jr., Travis Fulgham. Because I only kept 5 wide receivers and I kept 4 running backs, I only kept 1 running back on the practice squad, which was Jason Huntley. And then I kept 2 receivers on the practice squad, which was Hightower and Jamon Osborne. Okay. Some notes for you guys that are just tuning in. The practice squad has been expanded again to 16 players, according to ESPN, for the 2nd season in a row. And I'm assuming, I don't know to be factual, but I'm assuming that also means that game day rosters can be expanded to 55 men. So your active 53 becomes a 55, and instead of carrying 46 actives, you can carry 48 actives for game day. So it's still a 53, but then you can carry a 48 basically into the game. But yeah, guys, I mean, it was interesting. It's interesting to try to fit these guys in here. It is. It's just difficult, guys. So, Sonic, what did you think about defensive line?
I think we're doing all right. I think Milton Williams is going to do probably might be for the future after, I guess, is he like a DE or a DT?
Yeah. He's really a defensive end, but he's going to play both. I think he's going to play some 5 technique. Okay. He's going to be like Brandon Graham, where they use them outside.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I was going to say after Brandon Graham is done, he's going to be our next Brandon Graham after Brandon Graham's done.
Jalen, good question, and I don't know. Jalen said, also, is this Howie's 53 or is it our 53? Certainly not my 53. But Howie's going to have
at this point.
Yeah, Howie's going to have this point. He's going to definitely have the final say over the 53. And to be fair, the majority of GMs across the league do. They honestly have control because of contracts and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, they have to have input over your 53. But I do feel like that if Sirianni and Jonathan Gannon really want one guy over another and is not a complex contract situation to skew it, I do feel like Howie would probably take instruction this time. I do. Now, I could just be naive.
I got one more question before I go. Is J.J. Arthur-Whiteside on this team?
Sorry, say that one more time.
I said, is J.J. Arthur-Whiteside on this team? Because I just saw that he's gone for some reason. I don't know if he got cut or something like that.
He was still on there. Let me take a search real quick and I'll tell you, man. Last I heard, he was still here. But
the last I heard was he got injured.
Might have. He really didn't play, so let's see. I don't see anything. I see one of my videos popping up, funny enough, but yeah, I don't know, man. I don't see anything really pertinent in the news. Let me just go to the news and search all the news. But I mean, honestly, I think he's fallen behind at this point. I think we're going to regret it for the rest of our days. Yeah.
Especially when after him,
Mhm.
DK Metcalf.
Yeah,
We're gonna regret it.
and it's tough too because if there was anything that J.J. Arcega-Whiteside gave me to keep him on this roster, I would have, just because we don't have a ton of guys with size that can play the boundary. So I would have kept him if he gave me anything to keep him on the roster. Gave me nothing. What's up, 1911? How you doing, buddy?
How you doing, Steven?
Good, sir. Good.
Now, you had the Eagles keeping 5 linebackers?
6.
6 linebackers.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say they went with 5. Who would you add to the defense?
Who would I add to the defense? So if they went with, I think you can go 2 ways. If you go 5 linebackers, I think you can add another defensive lineman back. So say you remove TJ Edwards or Sean Bradley, right? And then I think you could bring back like Teron Jackson and keep 10 defensive linemen. Or I think you could temporarily move TJ Edwards or Sean Bradley down to the practice squad and then elevate Elijah Riley up as a safety. And then once you get McLeod and Wallace back completely healthy, then you can move Riley back to the practice squad and then insert Edwards or Bradley back to the – I think you could do either of those things.
That's where I was. I just didn't know which safety you would or, who actually all the safeties are. I like to get up with the entire NFC East. I've been watching Washington. That team looks solid. I'm also Dallas, man. A few injuries on their defensive and offensive line, man, and they're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, and that's the tough part is that, when I really thought about the roster, I'm like, is it excessive to keep 6 linebackers if we're going to primarily be a nickel-based team? And I felt like it is kind of excessive, but at the same time, I also felt like a guy like Jannard Avery can be labeled a linebacker, but in reality, he's just a on-the-ball linebacker, so he's a rush linebacker. It's really just another way of putting that is he's a semi, joker defensive end. So he's kind of playing both roles there. The other way I kind of thought about it is that linebackers play a lot of roles on special teams, and you're going to need adequate special teams play. And I think keeping an extra linebacker gives you flexibility to have a really good special teams unit. So, I mean, I went back and forth with that too about defensive line being a little light at 9 versus linebackers being a little heavy at 6. Safety being light at 4 with 2 guys being injured right now. You know what I mean? All those things played in my mind because I was like, man, safety kind of scares me because if McLeod's not ready to go by week 1 and Kevon Wallace is still working through some stuff and he's, maybe he can play, but he's not 100%. Whew. We're light. We're really light there with Harris and Epps. We might have to play, Maddox at safety, or we might have to bring up Elijah Riley. But I'm theorizing that they're probably going to give us 2 actives. So you'll get a 16-man practice squad, and then you'll be able to elevate 2 guys from your practice squad to your active game day roster. So I was saying that it would be feasible that the Eagles could easily elevate 2 defensive players in week 1. Elevate Elijah Riley and Teron Jackson, or Elijah Riley and Michael Jacquet. So they could do Elijah Riley at safety, Michael Jacquet at corner. So that way you got Harris, Epps, Riley, and if you have to move Maddox out to safety because of those 2 guys can't get the job done, then at least you got, McPherson and Scott and Josiah Scott that could bounce. One of those 2 could bounce inside at nickel, and then to back up the outside, you'd have Jacquet to be an outside corner. So, I mean, I think you could do those things, to kind of shape your roster. But it's going to be tough, man. Like, there's no way of 100% feeling that you're going to get this one, that you're going to get every single player, man. It's almost impossible, it feels like, until you get really close to the August 31st. I think the closer you get to August 31st, the easier it is to make the predictions.
So, now, our offensive line, how deep do you think the Eagles are?
I think if everybody's healthy on the offensive line, I think we have a good offensive line. I think the question is health, because not only are we worried about the right side of the line with Brooks and Johnson, but Jordan Mailata has a history with back injuries, right? Andre Dillard's a little banged up right now. Jack Driscoll, played really well last year, but he kind of limped down the stretch too a little bit. I mean, he wasn't completely healthy. And then you got guys like, Landon Dickerson, who's coming off of, an ACL injury. So, I mean, like, I think from a talent perspective, it's a really talented offensive line. Even the depth guys are. But from a health perspective, I'm very worried that there's a lot of track record of injuries here, because even the two guys I didn't name, Isaac Seumalo is dealing with a hamstring, right? He just got back. And Kelsey's, 33, I think. So, I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like, he's not a spring chicken either. And he's been an undersized center toughening it out for years. You know what I mean? Like, health-wise, I'm concerned. I have legitimate questions about health there.
I'm not worried about Kelsey. He's got interest in duct tape. And the defensive line. Now, it didn't look as good as I thought the first team should have looked this past game. What do you think?
Yeah. I can see that. But Jock Talk. So real quick, yes, you have to fill out your active 53, and then you can fill in your practice squad, right? Because you have to cut those guys first. They have to clear waivers, and then you can fill your practice squad out. So it'll be after that deadline. It'll be after the August 31st deadline. Then you'll give time for teams to claim players you cut. Then after that period, you can start adding guys to your practice squad. Guys, I'll post the link again if anyone else wants to come in. If you guys want to talk a little bit about who I put on the 53-man roster, if you want to ask me why I put certain guys there, or if you want to tell me your 53-man roster, or if you just want to talk about certain positions, that's fine, guys. I mean, I wanted to set up a little time to give you guys a chance to come in and talk if you wanted to, guys. Watch the ending of the Phillies game. Superman trade Dillard and JJ to the Bizarro for one outdated Superman comic slightly damaged.
All right, man, I'm out.
Appreciate you, 1911. What we got here? Bird Gang 31 in the house, man. What's up, buddy? Another content creator, guys. I've been on this channel. I need to get Bird Gang on my channel. Good guy, man. Y'all go check him out. Good choice. I hear you, Leon. Yeah, guys. I grew up during Randall Cunningham era too. I was definitely alive when Jaworski was in Philly, but I was too young to really understand and to know Jaworski like that, guys. So I kind of came up during the Cunningham era. So like when I was a little kid and I was in my bedroom and I was pretending, to be a player, I was pretending to be Randall Cunningham. It's the fourth quarter. It's a 2-minute drill. I was pretending to be Cunningham. I mean, I grew up that same exact era, guys. What's up, man? How you doing, Jay?
What's going on with you, Gate?
I'm good, Jalen. How about you, buddy?
Doing good. So, I'm going somewhere left with it.
Go ahead,
the
man.
Special teams.
All right.
Can Gainwell return?
That's what they say.
So he can.
That's what they say. Now, I will say this. From track record, Jason Huntley has a really good track record as a kick returner, jumping back to college. Like, he was really productive. But, I mean, I think a lot of guys, you could consider there in terms of, like, Quez Watkins, I think, could return if you needed him to.
That's exactly what I'm going with.
Yeah, John Hightower could do it if he was on the roster. Like, I do think there are other ways of getting guys there.
Yeah, because we have, like, 5 return men, and I don't see Boston Scott making this roster.
Really? Because they're pretty high on him right now from what I'm hearing.
I get what you're saying, but Boston Scott has a ceiling.
Yes, I agree.
Gainwell, you don't know what he can be. You want him to develop. Johnson, he's a young prospect that someone, gave up. But the thing is, he's shown to have flashes in this league. You get what I'm saying?
So what are you thinking? They go with Sanders is RB1. Sanders is RB1. Kenneth Gainwell is the change-up. Howard is the short yardage back. And the guy that would take over, Sanders got hurt. Then who are you elevating? Are you going to elevate
Johnson? Johnson's the 4th.
Kerryon Johnson?
Mm-hmm.
See that?
Because Johnson's a bit of a cross of everybody.
Yes.
So he has enough power. Go ahead.
I agree with you. Talent-wise, Kerryon Johnson deserves to be on the roster because there's no way that 4 other running backs are more talented than him.
Exactly.
at the same time, I do wonder because Kerryon Johnson's a really good third down pass pro back. He's an adequate receiving back. He can run the ball between the tackles.
Exactly.
He's not quite Howard between the tackles, but he's a better receiving back than Howard is. He's just as good as Howard in pass pro. Maybe not as physically dominant when he rocks somebody, but solid. He's solid. And I do think that you can make an argument that Kerryon Johnson could then become your number one running back if actually something happened to Sanders and keep Howard in the goal line, short yardage, third and long. You need someone that's going to deplete a blitzing player, sure.
Yeah.
But
so that's what my biggest discrepancy is. I think Huntley has a better chance of making this roster than Boston Scott does right now.
Interesting. I mean, look, man, ultimately, you know how it is, Jalen. I don't know. I don't know what they're telling us.
Neither one of us do.
Yeah. I only know what they're telling us, and they seem to be really talking up Boston Scott as a receiving back and being that changeup. I mean, I do agree with you that Boston Scott is very limited. He's a solid player, but he's limited. I mean, he's not really gonna. He's got a little shake and bake to him, but he's not like a top end speed guy. He doesn't really have that like next gear that really, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
really can kick in. Like
he's
like
not going to break. He's not going to break the 90-yard run on you.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think that Scott looked okay in pass pro on Thursday, but it's preseason. The looks are very generic.
Yeah,
it's not anything like you're going to face in a real game situation.
It's nothing exotic. It's all vanilla.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I don't know because Boston Scott and Miles Sanders were really bad in pass pro last year. I mean, it was frustrating to watch. I thought you raised a really good point in one of the videos I made, Jalen, when you asked me about can we 100% put the fault on the running backs, or is it miscommunication along the line, putting the running backs in bad position, causing
with him and Driscoll?
Yeah, I think that's a good point because it's hard to say because I don't know. I think I know the call, but I don't know that I know the line call because it's easy that Driscoll just messed up.
And the only reason why I said I think Boston Scott read it was I'm confused. Who basically Driscoll was supposed to take the DN. I don't want to ever put a DN on a running back, but when he can take, the safety or a linebacker. That's a fundamental thing for me.
Kerrigan snacked on us in that game because of pass pro.
Yeah. But he always does it. He gives a lane fits. So
yeah.
Yeah. But I also wanted to talk to you about this D line. That's the biggest thing I'm going back and forth with right now. Because
hard to weigh out, right? Hard to weigh out who's on and who's off.
Exactly. And I'm looking at it like this. Who can play nose? Who can play 3 tech? Who can play 5? And who else can drop back?
I'm gonna assume right now, Jalen, just the way I have the roster, I'm gonna assume that they're gonna use Hargrave as the nose.
Yeah.
They'll mix in at times. I think that they'll mix in Fletch there, but I think Hargrave will primarily be that guy. I think Ridgway could be your nose, but he hasn't had a great camp. He hasn't. The preseason game was nothing to write home about.
Yep.
I don't know if he's still coming back from injury or not. I don't know where he's at in terms of that. T.Y. McGill, I think, is a 3 tech. I've watched him a long time. He's an NC State guy. I've known about T.Y. McGill for a while. He's a really good, 1 gap 3 tech pass rusher. He's a one trick pony. He gets pressure.
He's going to get cut.
You think he's going to get cut? Because
they're going to do the same thing they did with him last year.
Yeah, I think that could be a very big possibility too. Especially if you can manipulate the rules for a veteran.
Yeah. Because I basically was told, what I was told was that the practice squad rules are basically the exact same as last year. I don't know all the details.
Who would you put in? Who would you put in though? Like if you cut T.Y. McGill, who would you sub in terms of the D line?
I'd still have Ridgway on the roster.
Yeah, I have Ridgway as well. I had 4 D tackles. I had Cox, Hargrave, McGill, and Ridgway. But if we take McGill off, we're down to I would be down to 8 D linemen. So who would you have subbed in at that point? Like who are your guys?
All my guys that can play nose. I got Hargrave, I got Ridgway, and I got Cox. Those are my 3 that can play nose.
Gotcha.
So who I need to play 3 tech, you have Williams, you have Hargrave, you have Cox, and you also have Graham.
Yep,
who
I
can
agree.
kick in.
Mm-hmm.
All right, strictly 5-techs. Well, not strictly 5-tech. 5-tech guys who can play 5-tech. Barnett, Sweat. You got Williams. That's 3 there. Also, Ryan Kerrigan and Avery.
So you're going to go heavy at defensive end, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So you would basically if I get this correctly, you would probably sub in Teron Jackson.
Looking at my little sheet I just marked up. Yes, because he has a little bit of versatility to play that 3 technique as well. If you need somebody else to kick down to 5,
he's strong.
Yeah.
So you would have I had it right. You would have Graham, Cox, Hargrave, Barnett, Sweat, Ridgway, Kerrigan, Williams, and Jackson. So you wouldn't go 10 D lineman either because of the flexibility of a guy like Avery that can come up and play a joker role or whatever you need, really.
Exactly. Because, I mean, all those outside line, all of your Sam linebackers, they've played on the end of the line as that 5 technique, as that 9 technique, as that 7 technique. So why would, I mean, and basically that's an easier job than playing that hybrid role anyway.
Sure.
So why not use that versatility to, okay, we're thin on position. Go slide down. I'll go ahead and roll somebody else in at Sam. You know, in hell, you might even bump it to put someone like TJ Edwards at Sam and let them play there.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you put him at Sam, though, like, because this is the problem I have with shaping the roster, Jalen. Trying to figure out the freaking scheme and how the players fit. Because if I run a 43 under, a true 4-3 under, to where I had to have that dominant Sam, TJ Edwards is strong enough, except for he lost weight. So, I mean, I don't – do you think he's still that same guy deep down?
Yeah.
Or do you think he's a little lighter now and you still think he's there?
I don't think it's an issue of strength. I think it's an issue of positioning. So TJ Edwards doesn't have a lot of wasted steps, wasted effort in his motion. If he's going to play Sam, he's always been limited athletically. He's always been able to fill in the right way. So my thing is, I'm not too worried about him physically holding up. I just need the body to be there to force the play inside to all the traffic. I think you froze on me, Gabe. Yeah, you definitely froze. Or I froze on you, 1 or 2.
Okay.
Sorry, man. We got a killer storm hitting out here, guys.
Oh, I'm getting hit by the same thing.
Yeah, it's like really picking up out here, man.
Good evening. How y'all fellas doing?
What's up, Aishan? How are you, buddy?
Going on?
All right. Yeah. Something that my man was saying, I really want to talk about the D-line as well, too, because I know he's been lightening up during the camp, like everybody's been saying, but everybody knows when we got Josh Sweat, he was supposed to be like a first rounder. We got him like in the 3rd round or the 4th round, I believe.
The
4th round. And it's because of him having those surgeries where he cannot play, 45, 50 snaps a game. I feel as though that his best service to the Eagles is basically coming in and filling in. That's where you're going to get the best of him. If he starts, I really feel as though that it's going to wear him down. And by like mid-3rd quarter, not saying that he's going to be gassed, but he might be too much on his knees to the point where something might happen. So I just feel as though he's better at playing at least 40% of a game.
Now, I want to also add on to what you were saying. Josh Sweat is iffy in the run game. No one talks about that.
Good point.
Yeah, he's got some growth to go there. And I get what Aishan's saying is that he still has a degenerative knee condition. So the more you play him, the more you expose him to potential wear down.
Mm-hmm.
He's on a contract year too.
Yeah, I really think him and Barnett are going to split reps. I don't think it really matters who's necessarily the starter. I think they're going to come out with pretty similar snap counts, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And then I'm just waiting because I've been hearing good things about Kayvon Wallace. And then if you guys can remember correctly, when he first came out, I remember his mentors is, I believe, Troy Vincent and Brian Dawkins. So that made me feel like his work ethic should be similar to like how Troy's was and Brian Dawkins was. But you know, he was a rookie last year. They said he liked to boast himself or be all into Instagram and stuff like that and posting pictures, whatever. But they make it seem as if he's been balling during training camp. So I'm waiting to see how he looks once he steps on the field too.
Yeah.
Especially getting him in the fourth, fifth round. So it's like, you know, we might have a nice blue chip play right there. Hopefully.
Yeah. What gets to me is, what's up, Mike? How you doing, buddy? What gets to me is like what made it difficult to shape this roster is the issue at safety, right? And then the health of the offensive line. Like it made it almost in like you're grasping at straws to try to figure out guys' health and should I carry a fifth safety because these dudes aren't going to be ready? Like it really does become difficult.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I mean, people need to knock it off. It's from what I saw, even though I was skeptical about Jalen Hurts, people need to knock it off and stop making it look like we are better at possibly using Flacco. Like, absolutely not. That's completely like ridiculous for somebody to really have that mindset, knowing that Flacco was doing what he was doing against second and third stringers.
Mm-hmm.
But
Exactly.
I would not be surprised if the next preseason game on Thursday, they throw Flacco out there against a first-team defense. I wouldn't be surprised just to keep everybody guessing, but at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure they're going to put Hurts, put Hurts in there in the beginning of the season.
Well, I look at it this way. Flacco is a veteran quarterback. He's got a big arm, but he's got a lot of the same concerns that a lot of people have about Jalen Hurts. This is a guy that likes to push the ball down the field. This is not a check it down quarterback. That's not what he's been in his career. And exactly, like that's kind of the thing about Flacco. And the other thing that gets to me a little bit with that is that people have the expectation that like Jalen Hurts is supposed to be like heads and shoulders above a guy that's got 10 years experience in the league. Like no. I kind of expect a guy with that much experience in the league who maybe or maybe not be healthy right now. I don't know where his health is exactly with that neck, but if he is healthy, I would expect Flacco to push Hurts a little bit. But ultimately, you're going to go with the guy that's in his early 20s over the guys that's past his mid 30s at this point. Like, it's
absolutely,
it's just the way it works, you know?
Yeah. And put it this way, you're playing vanilla defense against a 10-year plus vet. He's seen that in his sleep before. So he's sleepwalking, making these reads. It's all vanilla. So everything is, okay, if that's not there, right there. As long as I got enough time, I'm making the throw. It's nothing complicated. It's nothing he's never seen before. You get what I'm saying? So he has a much bigger advantage in the preseason against second teamers than Hurts has against, the first team. So it looks like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's crazy because, like, and mind you, Pittsburgh was playing very vanilla. But I thought the one thing that I thought I saw from Hurts that impressed me is like he made the read. To me, that first drive in particular, he really played on time with the offense and got the ball out.
Absolutely.
A couple of misfortunate things. Like Rager should have made the catch, but the ball was a little off to Rager. Like he's got to be a little better with location there. But the one to Ertz was, you can't put, that's not, I mean, it goes as an incompletion, but I mean, what is Hurts supposed to do in that situation? Like, completion percentage doesn't always tell the truth. That's the thing.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
If you throw in 10 bubble screens, that completion percentage looks pretty high.
Exactly.
Yeah, you got a QBR of like 98 or something.
Case in point, take Quez Watkins bubble screen away from Flacco. What does the night look like for Flacco then?
Pedestrian.
Just looking at the stats from that perspective.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
And speaking of that, with that situation, well, with Dwayne Haskins for Pittsburgh looking like a freaking 3-year Pro Bowler out there, that's only because, let alone he was going against the third and fourth stringers, they were all gassed. I hope today in practice at the Eagle Stadium, they was actually like running gassers with those D linemen and those players, because I mean, he could have literally sat down, then stood back up and threw the ball. That's how much time Dwayne Haskins had to throw that ball when our third and fourth string, defensive lineman was out there. Even the linebackers that was trying to blitz, even though the one kid from Temple was looking pretty good, though. He was looking pretty good. And then that one guy with the interception, that wasn't too bad. What was it, Smiley?
Elijah.
Like that?
Elijah Riley,
Yeah, Riley. Yeah, so.
Now, I will say it like this. The fatigue part, these early days like this, it's mainly because guys haven't had to ramp up to full speed. That's why you're seeing the fatigue. And if guys have to be on the field for like 8+ plays, they're done. Then you're not going to put the first team guys back in. You're not going to put the second team guys back in. It's third and fourth the whole game. Oh crap! I'm doing 8 snaps in a row. There's no rotation, but that's why it looks so gassed.
Yeah, but see, a lot of that falls onto the fact that Sirianni is only practicing them guys for like an hour and a half, and then a lot of the vets and some of the newbies are actually staying out to practice for extra reps. I feel as though they need to, add like an extra 45 minutes. Like. You got teams that's practicing for like 2.5 hours, like the Patriots.
Oh, yeah. But here's the thing: it is NFLPA rules. So a lot of the practice time issues, you can't get it. You can't run too much longer than what it actually is right now because of the NFLPA in the vets, which it was set around. So if you're talking about a 6-year linebacker, what does he need to do any conditioning for? He knows what he's going to get himself in every training camp he goes to.
Yeah, absolutely.
You get what I'm saying?
But in particular, I'm talking about a lot of the newbies, the undrafted free agents that we have on the squad that are trying to make the team. I'm talking about like those rookies, even those second-year players.
But here's the thing: I'd rather teach those guys technique than make sure they're conditioned right, because those guys might not even be here in 2 weeks.
Well, the other thing too, Jalen, is I thought that when you look at 2 players in particular, Tui Pelotu and Raekwon Williams, I thought a lot of their exhaustion was coming from really bad technique. They weren't shooting their hips, getting their hands right. And you're constantly fighting if you're not there correctly. And I think that wears you down.
If you have to work through a block versus being in the right position to beat a block, it's exhausting. And you think about this, you're going rep after rep after rep after rep. The one thing they tell you as a D lineman, optimal conditioning, I can go 10 plays straight with no breaks. That's optimal conditioning, and it's only the rarest of the rare guys can do. So I don't expect, 300+ pound D tackles to go 8 plays and not be tired. So I can't put too much fault on that.
Mike, the link is in the chat if you want to jump in, man. So I'll go with this one for a second. I'll get your guys' opinion on it. Do you like Williams inside or outside better? I like him outside to inside. Like primarily as a 5 technique that can bounce inside and play a 3 tech if I need him to, kind of like a Brandon Graham. But I've said that for the longest time, that a lot of people watched this film from last year in college and thought that he was a 3 tech and gave the comparisons to Aaron Donald. And it's like, well, if you knew the kid's recruitment and like how he came in and the circumstances in playing the 3 technique, then you would know that he was a 5 technique there. And they got limited on scholarships and stuff because of COVID. They had opt-outs and he had to do it. So like me personally, I'd rather see him as a 5 that bounces inside on occasion.
Absolutely, because he was actually talking about it. And Milton said his first time playing defensive tackle was his senior year in college. He never played it before, except that 1 year, which was last year.
Yeah.
Now that I got a chance to see Williams, no homo, I like his body. You get what I'm saying? Like, no, I'm being dead serious. So
his stats,
the way his body is built,
Yeah.
It's lean enough to play that D end role, but it's thick enough to hold up at 3-tech. It's not perfect, but it's a pretty good balance of the two. And like you said, I like him going outside the end, but at the same time, if he needs to kick in for any,
For loop,
say there's go ahead.
for like looping, I can also see
Yeah.
him from inside out too for looping.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Looping purposes, because he gets low and he angles his body pretty good. He's not as good as Derek Barnett is with it, but he angles pretty good, and he plays. His arms are short, but he uses his arm pretty good.
Yeah, he has heavy hands. That's the thing. So a lot of Ted stunting with him. So if he's lined up in that 3 technique, he's gonna aim for that inside shoulder of the tackle while he's looking at the DN. And as soon as he hits him one good time and the looper comes across, I can see him getting a bunch of sacks off of that. That's what when we first drafted him, that was my initial thought of him. I'm not going to say he's better than I thought, he'd be. But the thing is, because of the offensive lineman he was playing against, but he did show a little bit more promise than I thought he would.
I thought he was more impressive in camp than because he was playing 2s and 3s. So impressive that you can keep up with the 2s because it's adequate competition. But when you beat up on the 3s, it's not. Yeah, you kind of should if you're a big enough recruit there.
So my thing is the one play that everybody points out for him was that play T.Y. McGill and him push the pocket.
Yeah,
a lot of that was bad offensive line play by the Steelers.
Exactly.
So, and I'm not going to say he did nothing bad or anything like that. He did what he needed to do. He made the play.
Yeah, that dude.
Fine with that.
You got to believe for shoulder pads.
So, hey, it is what it is. I just want people to have that perspective.
I was just telling someone earlier today because they were talking about Milton Williams, and I said, look, I always tell people to be very cautious about that because you about this, Jalen. Name the one game in J.J. Arcega-Whiteside's entire career where he hit 100 yards receiving. You remember the game?
Was it preseason?
It was preseason.
First year? Yep.
First year. Rookie year.
It was against the Jets.
He had like 5 to 8 catches or something at the game, and he had like one for like 40.
He beat it was against the Ravens, and he did it in 3 quarters. He did it in 3 quarters. I mean, he did it on limited time on top of it because there was a thunderstorm that knocked that game out.
Yeah,
that's right.
I remember it.
I remember now. It was the thunderstorm.
So I always use that one as like a precautionary tale of like be kind of careful because you can look really good in the preseason and not live up when the starters get out there.
What was the DN we had like who led the preseason in sacks?
That was just like 2 years ago.
Yep. Just saying, that's another precautionary tale.
Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about too.
Yeah, the tip of my tongue too. Yeah,
it was the same year Osman was flashing, right?
Say what?
Wasn't it the same year that Joe Osman was flashing?
I think so.
And then Osman had
the same
injury.
year that
no, Osman was shining the year before that, and that's when he blew his knee. Joe Osman, that's when he blew his knee. Mm-hmm. We're talking about 2 years ago. Osman, this was
the preseason where at the last preseason game, both TJ Edwards and Singleton had like 15 tackles plus each.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I cannot remember his name. The black guy. I cannot remember his name.
He came from Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I think he went back. I think he went back to Carolina because he really got no rep during the regular season at all for whatever reason. I don't know. Just they put him down.
I don't know why I can't think of it either, but it is. I know exactly what you're talking about, Jalen. What's his name? Dude, there's so many guys that come in and out.
I know.
At the time, like it's hard to.
But I tell you one thing. Even though we don't have like a superstar at that position of any of our linebackers, I can honestly say that the speed. Okay, the tackler needs to get a little help as far as like Davion Taylor, but I am noticing that he is getting to his spots. He wasn't even getting to his spots last year, you know, but I can see that he is actually learning. And once he gets that form tackling down pat, he's going to be all right because his speed is like insane. His speed is like insane. But then you also have, you know, the guy we picked up from Minnesota, Eric Wilson, who's going to really contribute. And then Singleton, he hasn't even really been practicing with the team, but they put him out there and he got a lot of burn, and he actually looked like he's, you know, let off right where he was at last year. So he's going to be looking good. So I'm really excited to see what Eric Wilson, Singleton, and possibly Davion Taylor, also the kid from Temple. He was looking pretty good. Even though he was going against third string, stuff like that, he was still looking pretty good. And he looks, you can tell he lost about a good 10 pounds. He looks a little faster. Faster.
Yeah. So, Jay, just real quick, man. So I get what you're saying. I do. But you also got to remember, though, a lot of people made misassumptions of where he would play. So they're categorizing him as a defensive tackle. There are a lot of DNs that would out-test Aaron Donald. So, like, you get what I'm saying? Like, doesn't take away from the fact that Williams is Milton Williams is an incredibly athletic freak. Like, he's a good combination of size and athleticism. But there are a lot of defensive ends that if Donald was like, he would get out tested by. So you guys I know that you subbed in some players. So how many linebackers did you keep, Dalen and Aishan? How many did you have?
I see us actually keeping at tops, I'm going to say 5. But honestly, I feel as though we're probably just going to keep 4.
I went 5 as well.
Yeah. But I really feel as though that we're going to probably just keep 4, honestly, because Singleton's probably going to. I know Davion Taylor's going to be on special teams.
Yeah.
And then you got Singleton. I don't know. They might have TJ Edwards on special teams. I don't think Singleton's going to be on special teams. Because I think him and Eric Wilson's going to get a lot of snaps in the nickel. You know. And
I absolutely agree with you that you're going to see some weird flexibility going on there. I do think, though, that I think they're going to go 5 just because for special teams, like, linebackers play such an important role. I had 6. I mean, I had Wilson, Singleton, Avery, Taylor, Edwards, and Bradley. And I said the reason I did that is because I only kept 9 D linemen because I was factoring that Avery could.
Hall.
That's what I was about to say. Avery's going to be like a DN hybrid, like outside linebacker, but basically like a DN filling in for, the guy that we just got from Washington or something like that. I don't see him, getting.
I see Milton Williams and Jannard Avery giving us a lot of flexibility in terms of what you can do.
Yeah.
When I look at corner, though, like the struggle I had was about Craig James and Michael Jacquet. And I think Michael Jacquet has the higher upside than Craig James, but I just feel like Craig James deserves a spot over him right now because I think Craig James is a little more polished.
Yep.
Right.
I feel as though he is. He's a little more polished. And I guaranteed when Deontay Johnson caught that ball on Jacquet, when he got to that sideline, I guarantee that defensive backs coach told him he turned his head to the wrong shoulder. Whenever you're supposed to be guarding, the sidelines like that, you're supposed to be looking in your inside shoulder, not your outside. He turns his head outside, and naturally you're going to slow down.
Sorry, guys, that's my not really emergency alert because it's like, I don't know, 20 minutes too late
Yeah.
But so what do you guys think? Like, what about you, Jalen? What do you think about the whole thing? Like Craig James, Michael Jacquet, the back end of this like cornerback battle.
I think they're going to value being a corner over being a special team. And I think the special teams guys are going to come from the safety position more than corner.
Yeah,
you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I mean,
so
does it sway your opinion though when that special teams player is a gunner though?
No, because safeties can be gunners as well.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, you know how it is. Like, there's, being a gunner is really, it's important because, man,
it's a tough job.
Get down the field, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's gonna hurt. You know what I mean?
We actually have our gunner though, right? The guy from we picked up from Denver. That's going to be our gunner, I believe, because that's what he was doing, or that's what he was for Denver. Adams, I believe.
Oh no, I don't think you talking about the one we signed from Tampa Bay.
Andrew Adams.
Andrew Adams, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my thing. I was thinking of it along the lines of you're very thin at corner in the first place. So you really need guys who can cover versus he's really a special teamer, but his actual, position he plays is corner.
But
so that's what I valued over.
You don't think Craig James can cover?
I don't think he's I don't think there's much there in terms of a corner.
I think he's a little more polished than Jacquet.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think, and I like Jacquet. I projected Jacquet last year as being a camp surprise. And I'm really happy no one has dug up the Elijah Riley video because I also talked about Elijah Riley last year, and I'm glad that hasn't. Because, if he ends up making the roster, man, and he has a bad game, I'm never going to hear the end of it. But,
yep.
Hey, he got an interception, though.
What's going on,
Drew? What I have, guys, I have Craig James and Marcus Epps as the gunners. Especially if we go light at wide receiver, because I think wide receiver would be the next area where it'd make a lot of sense to have guys as gunners. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But my thing is, I had Epps and Epps and the guy from Tampa Bay. I keep forgetting his name.
Adams.
There you go.
Yep,
so you're going to carry carrying a fifth safety. Are you going to carry a fifth safety, Jalen? It's going to be Andrew Adams.
Yep. Because we're going to start off the season with. I don't think McLeod's going to be ready game one.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to carry somebody else on the roster. You're probably going to put them on the 3-week IR. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
There you go. That's your fifth safety.
Sorry, Chad. I know we got into the weeds here talking about special teams.
What's going on, Uncle Drew?
That's good stuff, man. How y'all doing, man? What's going on, people?
Man, how are you, man?
I'm good, man. I just want to jump on real quick. Yeah, I see y'all got deep in the weeds talking about special teams, man. That's awesome. That's why I know fans are like us. You're not gonna hear this on any other content. You're not gonna hear about special teams or nothing like that. They don't get it like that here. But I just wanted to jump in and say one thing that I really am. It's a bit early, but I'm really impressed and I like what I'm seeing is the coaching staff.
Mm-hmm.
I love what I'm seeing from Sirianni. I love what I'm seeing from just everybody being coached up. Whereas before, if we did have players that were talented, we wouldn't know because our previous staff, they weren't really trying to get these guys their full potential out of them. Where we see Nick and his staff, where they're doing that, they're like pushing these guys. Look at Rager, he jumped in, he got in Rager's butt, and then Rager's kind of responded from that. I hope he continues that, putting the pressure and the accountability on those guys. And I think that's for me, that's really a spot that I'm really looking at and I'm really impressed by. Because I think as we move forward, the two biggest questions for me with this team is the coach and quarterback.
Yeah.
Those are the two biggest questions. If the coach and quarterback can connect, if the coach and quarterback can click and they can get something going, then we're good. We're going to be just fine. If those two guys can get it together, so far I like what Nick is showing me. I think we still got a little bit more work with Hurts, and I hope the Eagles give him a chance. I really do. So, but I think that's where I'm sitting with the Eagles right now. If the coach and quarterback can get on the same page, then I think we're good. And one more thing, the day of the pocket quarterback is over.
Yeah, I agree.
It's over. It's done. I mean, props to what's that? To Flacco. But dude, if as soon as the pressure comes, if Flacco has
Absolutely.
to scramble, it's a wrap. So I don't know if there's any other quarterbacks out there that can like step up and be that. What hurts is because Flacco, I mean, he has his arm strength and his IQ may be better than Hurts right now. But dude, if he's in there, it's curtains. It's a wrap. It's
Absolutely.
not gonna
And
end
Yeah.
that's
good.
even with
Yeah.
a stud offensive line. That's with all of our starters. It don't matter. No offensive line can hold a defensive line longer than about 6 seconds. You know what I'm saying?
True.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, the other thing that surprised me, guys, is how fast the national media jumped on the narrative that Nick Sirianni isn't a tough-nosed, hard coach, and they said all these things about him. And
Yeah.
then anyone who ever watched any of the clips that the Indianapolis Colts, team site had up there and watched him coach guys could clearly see this guy's hard on the players.
Yep.
And it just goes to show you, man, you cannot trust the national media for things at times.
I agree.
Accountability.
Trust Philly
You gotta
media.
have accountability. You gotta have that accountability. When you're coaching and they have to take you serious. If you don't take you serious, then you out here passing ice cream around like Dougie was doing. We can't. This is that time out for ice cream. You know what I mean? If you want Rita's water ice, go to the water ice spot. But it's time for football. We got to win.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Now I will push back on that. Well, I agree with you about the narrative of Sirianni is portrayed in the media wrong, but I still have my questions of you can get on the guy and he just not listen. You get what I'm saying? Because he's heard it 1,000 times. Your message falls on deaf ears, and that's my biggest concern with this coaching staff. And they haven't had nearly enough time to let that process go through. So everything they got is a fresh start. They have a clean slate. Let them be them. Let them show you who they are. You get what I'm saying?
And
I think that would be more so with veterans, though, don't you think? I mean, veterans are probably the guys that would give them the most pushback, with them being there and like, you're a rookie coach, so what you going to tell me? Whereas a younger
You'd be
guys,
surprised.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Uncle Drew.
No, I just want to make this point. And I'm gonna go, man. I think that the Eagles right now. I think one encouraging thing for me, like I don't know what we're going to be. I'm still up in the air with it. But one thing that's encouraging, again, is the coaching staff. And I don't care what anybody says. I think the Eagles have the best offensive line in the division. I think we have the best defensive line in the division. Yeah, you could talk about Washington, but they got a young Thundercats. They still learning. They're still developing. We have a mixture. We got guys who have been battle tested, who are battle ready, and they're bringing up these young guns. So I think that when you look at the heart of a football team, the heart of a good football team is the offensive line and the defensive line. Period. Point blank. Period. If you got that established, then you're good money. And I think that's where the Eagles are. So if we can get the coach and quarterback together, and they can still coach up these guys, I'm not saying. I mean, I don't know what we're going to be, but I think we're not going to be as bad as what we think they're going to be, or the media portrays us to be. So, hey, before I get out of here, man, props to everybody. Gate City coach, you know how we do it, man. All props, respect to you, bro. And rest of you guys on the panel, all love. And I'm gonna continue listening here at work. Man, I had to jump on.
All right.
Appreciate
Have
you,
a
Drew.
good one, Uncle Drew.
Appreciate you, man.
Birds, go birds.
That's right.
You stay safe in the hospital, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, good point.
So Jalen, one thing I will say is when it comes to just speaking as a coach, when it comes to coaching guys, hard and really being on top of them, and you know what I mean, like really getting to the point of where it's getting heated, you have to have a relationship built with the player. You get what I mean? Like all that comes beforehand, like the guy's trusting you. There has to be a trust there. And if there's not a trust there, then I agree, Jalen. It'll eventually become a problem because guys will feel like, why are you always on me? Like, yeah, like
that's exactly what I'm saying. Like,
Gotta have that.
And put it this way, and a lot of times the coaches think they have a better connection with players than they actually do. And then when they get to that mode of you just keep harping on something, then you start acting like you're a bit better than me in something. Even though you're the coach, don't get me wrong, but you start have that snobbiness as a coach. It's like, hold on. Regardless of you're a vet, rookie, anything, that's how players approach people. You get what I'm saying? I've seen it. So it's like you don't want to approach in that territory because I'm thinking of it could be an overcorrection from the previous staff. So I still have my questions about the staff, but everything I've seen so far is promising. So I'm good on that.
What's up, Bird Gang 31?
What's up, bro?
What up, man? I had to jump in here, man. You guys are awesome. I'm in the hospital waiting for this baby to come, so I'm like, you know what? I got some time for a minute.
Congratulations,
man.
Congratulations.
Thanks, guys.
First one?
No. It's like my fifth one.
So you ain't got no time for real then.
I got the babies. Hey, I've been trying to make the time, man. I've been trying to make the time. We got like another half hour to hour, so
yeah.
We just supposed to have a
But congratulations, man.
Yeah, congrats, man. Big news, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was hearing you guys talk about the coach, and I just want to say, man, I like the fact that Nick doesn't care about the name on the back of the jersey. You know what I'm saying? He goes out there, he coaches them all hard. This guy's, I think he has real good leader qualities, and I think he's going to do some good things with us. Some people are worried about the preseason, some of the things that happen. We got gashed up a little bit in the run, but, we're in vanilla mode right now. I don't think anything, shown till the season starts. So, everybody just let them guys go out there and hit somebody else for a little while, and they'll be fine. Hurts, I think, had a great game. If he would have hit that one with Quez, everybody wouldn't even be talking about anything right now, but how great he is. So, Flacco gets the love when all he really did was throw a screen pass. So, it's kind of like you got to control your emotions with it. Even with Mullins, I think he got a bad rap too, being with the third and fourth teamers, but he did throw some horrible balls out there. So, I can't wait to see the next game, and I'm excited. I think we're going to do some big things this year.
Yeah, I agree, man. Actually, I love your evaluation too about I think all of our quarterbacks to an extent struggled hitting the running backs in the flats and definitely breaking across the middle. And I think I agree with you. I think Flacco was guilty of that too, being the veteran. I agree.
Yeah. And then even with that I think with the offensive line too late, like Mullins, it seems like he started to see ghosts a little bit. Like I really want to see Mullins play with like the second team. Let him have a little bit better talent around him. When comparing him with Flacco. Because, like I said, I don't think Flacco's that great. I don't think neither one. I think we really need to pray that Hurts stays healthy the whole season. We don't have to worry about going to a backup quarterback this year, especially not for an extended period of time. But,
Flacco strikes me as the type of quarterback that you pick up if you thought you were going to contend. Like you thought you were going to contend and your starting quarterback goes down. I think it's where a guy like Flacco kind of comes in. Right?
He's a bridge quarterback mixed with that Nick Foles like role quarterback. You get what I'm saying? That's that's the kind of bucket he fits in. You get what I'm saying? Teddy Bridgewater also fits that bill.
Yeah.
Andy Dalton.
Yeah, Andy Dalton.
Yep.
Over there in Chicago. Yeah. Yeah. But, man,
Dalton missed a lot of opportunities too, man. He had a couple of really good offenses in Cincinnati that he kind of wasted.
Yes. Yes, he did.
Sorry, he wasted AJ Green's talents.
Yeah.
Yeah. People don't realize how good AJ Green was.
Yeah. Imagine if you would have had him in his prime with like a legit quarterback, like someone who could a real top 5 quarterback.
Yeah. And we hope we have a different narrative about him all the way around right now.
Was he with Carson in the beginning though?
Palmer?
No, I don't think so.
No, I think it was after Palmer left, wasn't it?
After Palmer left?
Yeah, after Palmer left, and that was when they were going in that limbo period.
I think didn't Palmer retire?
Say it one more time.
I thought Palmer retired. Remember, because he won it. Cincinnati wouldn't let him go, and I think he retired. And I think they drafted Dalton, and then they finally let him go to Oakland. I think
he went to Arizona.
Yep, exactly. As a matter of fact, Dalton was the 2nd round pick. AJ was 6. Number 6
Yep.
overall.
Mhm.
Went before Julio.
Yeah.
That's a bad man too, right there.
Yeah, man, it's tough, man. I mean, I look at the defense, guys, and I think the secondary is going to be good, but I'm a little concerned with how beat up we are at safety right now. That concerns me.
I'm concerned secondary wise. I'm actually concerned more so with our corners. If Steve Nelson or Slay gets injured for a few games, not knock on wood, hopefully not for the whole season, but players get nicked up and be out a game or two. That's when I'm a little shaken up because Avante needs to stay in the slot. He don't need to play
Yeah.
outside
Personally,
whatsoever.
I don't even think he needs to be in the slot. I think he needs to be a safety.
Mm-hmm. Give him a chance to read and react as a free.
Read and react.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I would say this. I think depending on when the injury occurs, I think if the injury occurred early in the year, then there's a chance Avante would be bounced outside. But I think if it happened a little bit later in the year, I think there's a better chance that they move Zach McPherson as that next corner up. I think he'd be your next guy up on the outside. And then I think Josiah Scott would be your nickel that's going to kind of come in, because I do think you're going to see times where we play a little dime. So I think you'll see 4 corners on the field.
Mm-hmm.
And both of those guys are really making me feel better about our corner situation. They're both playing some good ball. Zach has some good reps out there.
He did. He had a nice tackle.
I want to see Josiah play against ones though. He's been really good against the twos, but I want to see it against the ones because the Jags did give up on him.
Yeah. So let me ask y'all a quick question. Dillard, in my eyes, is the equivalent of a 4th round pick right now. Would y'all agree with that?
I think it's very great.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be all the way honest. I'm shocked that he has, lost all the confidence that he has lost because I promise you, from when he first came out and the footwork that boy has, it kind of reminded me of a young freaking Jason Peters. I mean, like from the college he came from, they never really ran the ball, so I felt like he could get better, bulk up, get stronger, and be able to run block. But pass block was always the initiative because we had Carson back there. We always want to pass the ball, and I felt as though he was going to be fine. And I really felt as though that he was going to get his job back. But it wasn't until last year when he really broke down to one of the sports columnists for the Eagles and was talking about how playing any other position besides left tackle is like putting on your left side sneaker on your right foot. Is that difficult? And I'm gonna be all the way honest. I'm a big guy. I played semi-pro football. I played on the D line. I played on the O line. And at the end of the day, it's all in your head. What you got to do is just remember, and you got to study. You know what I'm saying? Now, I never played on, I played on the JUCO level, but I never played as far as the NFL or anything like that. Just semi-pros as far as I went. But I can honestly say that he has mental blockage where he just feels as though, and I also kind of felt like he just wants to play left tackle because that's where the money's at too, to a certain extent. But I feel as though that his feet work and his pass blocking finesseness, it's like better than anyone that we had. And I remember even Jason Peters praising him about that, but for some reason, I mean, with the way that the analyst was coming down on him, and then a lot of us fans were, I mean, his mental, like, because you got to remember, these guys are young, like they're 24, 25, 20, they're pretty young. So at the end of the day, they make it look like they don't listen to this, don't listen to that, but they really be listening. I feel as though they really be listening, and it really gets to them. But for him not to, not posture himself right in that pocket is something that I feel as though that he's just going through a mental blockage. But basically, now that you say it, it's like, yeah, I would say a low 3rd round grade on him, but he is shocking. I felt as though that he was, when he first came out, I felt as though he would have been able to go in the bottom of the 1st round. And, it's just something with his mind that just clicked in and just got him doubting himself. He has no confidence right now. That's the issue with him. Because
I think
his footwork was like no other guys. You can look at some of his videos and he damn near looked like he could be a fullback. How fast
he was glad
with his feet. And he would have his body right in front of you, but to hear that he's literally getting bull rushed all the way into the quarterback is insane to me.
Mm-hmm. Really it showed its head in the Chicago game back in 2019. I tried to warn everybody because there was that narrative that, he shut down Khalil Mack. Well, he didn't really line up against Khalil Mack. So,
no.
I mean, that was kind of the problem.
Floyd ate him alive.
Floyd ate him alive in that game. It was bad. Leonard Floyd had a field day with Dillard in that game. And that was the first time I really saw him really struggle with a bull rush. And Floyd's not a big D end.
Nope.
He's a long D end. You know what? One of the things I've noticed with the Pac-12, remember who was the guy we drafted from Stanford last year?
The guy that went to Washington.
Yep.
What is his name? Casey Toohill or something like that?
Toohill,
yeah.
A lot of those what is it, the Pac-12? A lot of those Pac-12 DNs are built like that. Bit undersized, 6'2", 6'3-ish, maybe running 250. They're lightweight. They're not really going to bull you. They're going to bull you with, if they're going to bull you, they're going to bull you with technique.
Good point.
He didn't face. Well, I'm sorry. When he faced the SEC, those guys got in him. You get what I'm saying? That was the same issue I was having with the Oregon tackle this year.
Penei Sewell.
Yeah. When he played, was it Georgia or Auburn? They got in him. They didn't care about his accolades. They tossed him around. He was on the ground a good majority of that game, but no one talks about that. That's why I have concerns with him. But it's up there. Like all those guys, they're a lot more finessey than they are solid built tackles. You get what I'm saying? And when he got, and I think
a physical limitation though.
Say it one more time.
Do you think Dillard's might be more of a physical? He's got shorter arms, and I just looked up Penei Sewell, and now I'm seeing what you're saying, because another guy that's about 330, but he's only got about 33 1/4-inch arms and about 80-inch wingspan. Like shorter arm tackle.
I don't think it's physical. I think it's more
mental.
Hey, I was dominating these guys at this level. I've never really had to face too much adversity.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? I've never really had to go from the bottom to the top.
And see, that's why I say mental. His mental part,
and we're on the same page with that.
Part of that.
Yeah.
Man, you know what's crazy though, Jalen? The whole time during the draft process, all I heard about was how Rashawn Slater had smaller arm length. So did Penei Sewell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But here's the difference. When Slater put his hands on you, he put his hands on you. When Penei Sewell got to you, he put his body on you. And the difference is, if you don't get a clean shot with his body, he's off his feet. His feet are wild.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
That's the issue.
And on top of that, Jalen, Penei Sewell is 6'8". Slater is only about
I think he's like 6'3", 6'4-ish.
Yeah. 6'4" for Slater. High side 6'3", 6'4" for Slater. But the thing I see with Slater, he can play inside, he can play outside. And he does not, I'm not going to say he's the best athlete, but he's a pretty good athlete. And he knows how to use his body. The difference when I saw Penei Sewell was launching his body like he was a D tackle. Like a really athletic D tackle. And I was looking at it like, okay, he's athletic, but you do realize when guys go ahead and set him up for moves, he's only good at moving in one direction. As soon as you make him stop his feet, he's done.
See, here's the thing I heard, Jalen. Maybe you can fill in because you played offense and you played defensive line. I was always told that the marker for tackles in arm length, and this is not from me, guys. This was from people I know that worked in a much higher level of scouting than I did. But they said that the marker was about 34-inch in the arm reach. And that anything under that brings concerns. Doesn't mean the guy can't do it. It's concerning. But I've heard others say that you can get away with you can get 33.5-ish.
See, I don't believe that. I think that's more of the guy needs to have 10-inch hands type deal.
Exactly.
You get what I'm saying? Because
they both have that.
I understand.
Both the guys did have that.
Yeah,
they both have 10-inch hands. But
no, I'm talking about for quarterbacks and all that stuff.
Oh yeah,
you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But my
to
thing
be fair
is,
though, Jalen, the shorter, and I can attest to this because I'm not a tall guy. If I had Max Brown's height, I probably would have gotten a D1 scholarship and have Max Brown's height. It is harder. It is harder to throw a football if you do have a smaller hand. It
I
is.
get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there have been guys who've been able to throw balls with small hands. I look at the Saints tackle Ramczyk. Exactly. I look at Ryan Ramczyk
too.
Short arms, small hands. Guess what? Still a pit bull, still a dog.
Yeah.
That is one of the best tackles in the league. Top 3 to 4. That's what you're looking at. Yeah. I don't buy that you need 34-inch arms. If you want to say that, I might be a little bit short for the position at 6'3", but guess what? I have 33.7/8-inch arms, but might as well say 34-inch arms.
Yeah.
I don't think, I'd be having such a drastic advantage over a guy who has 33.25-inch arms. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Hey, NFC East Beast, I'm not proud to admit this. When I saw your 1/2 there, I was thinking that was like post 1 out of 2. So I've been sitting here patiently waiting for the second part of your post. And I realized that what you're saying is half the NFL is hard up on tackles. I was like, man, that's the NFL is hard up on tackles. That's going to be a heck of a follow-up. I was waiting.
And just to throw it back real quick, as far as since we're talking about arms and we're basically talking about O-line and D-line, the best defensive player in the NFL right now has like 31, 32-inch arms, like Aaron Donald.
Exactly.
It's, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's not, it's not about the size of the dog, it's about the fight in the dog. And I mean, like, that arm size, that measurement, I know they play. They boast that to a certain extent, but man, it's about the fight in the person, the will to dominate, the will to want to do the best that you can. And I feel as though Dillard has lost all his confidence, man.
Yeah.
And
look like Tarzan, play like Jane.
Basically.
So I'll say this, Ishan 101. One of the things that's really weird about anytime you ever work in scouting is when you have to take and pay attention to physical measurements of players. It feels like you're treating humans like livestock. It's definitely weird. I definitely get the analytics behind it. I understand all that, but it always is a little weird when you have to talk about people like that because it feels like you're talking about livestock, not human beings. You know what I mean? Like it definitely is a little weird.
And quotes words from Jeffrey Lurie, assets.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
and I'll say it like this: the process of how they pick and prod you at these, workouts and camps, it's ridiculous. They're stripping you down. Hey, with your arm length, with your height without shoes, spread your feet.
Yeah.
Do this. Hey, you're gonna step on this pad, jump as high as you can. All right, now we're gonna pinch you, see how much body fat you have. All this crazy mess.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're taking every bit of information they can get to see how physically gifted you are from your body perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
weird.
Well, but the other thing is, Jalen, I've heard someone that I respect greatly say this, and I know that Kaplan's not really like he's a guy that knows football, but he doesn't know football. Like, you know what I mean? He's quoting Adam Kaplan. He's quoting other coaches, but he's saying that he's hearing coaches say that alignment doesn't matter anymore in today's NFL, and I could not. I don't agree with that. I don't.
Alignment
I think
as in
alignment
what?
matters.
No, let's be all the way honest. At the end of the day, we do the most in the trenches. We do the most touching.
Yeah.
Offensive, defensive linemen do the most touching in the course of a game from beginning to end.
Yeah.
Always got to touch somebody as soon as that ball
Exactly.
snaps. Sometimes a safety don't got to do nothing. The play's dead. A linebacker don't have to do nothing if they're not called to blitz. They're not touching nobody. At the end of the day, when the game starts, guess who touches each other first? Basically, the offensive lineman, the defensive lineman.
The interior alignment, especially.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, but see what gets me is like he was talking about receivers, and he's like, he only really looks at it as inside and outside receivers. And it's like, here's my thing. There are certain attributes that favor boundary side receivers versus the flanker. They're both outside receivers. But you know what I'm saying? Like having a guy like Rager who's tough. He's definitely tough. He's strong. I get it. But Rager only has like a 75, 76-inch wingspan, right? I'm pretty sure his arm length is not over 32 inches. So, like, to me, that matters when you're playing the boundary. It matters when you're playing the boundary. I get what he's saying, that even if you're on the boundary and you're shorter, if you can get the favorable matchup on the boundary, you can still win. I get it. But you know what I'm saying? Like, Alshon played the boundary for a reason, even though he started off as a flanker in Chicago.
I want to dispute that.
Go ahead.
So, I think it's more about your release and your body position. Some guys can't get off press coverage. If you put them in a box, guess what? They're not going to fight their way out of that box, smoothly. They're going to struggle. They're going to get thrown off. They're going to everything.
A flanker
other guys. What?
I said, a flanker can be moved. I get what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. So, look at someone like AB. AB, not the biggest guy. Nope. Doesn't have the measurables. But guess what? You couldn't touch him off the line. Once he gets his head of steam going, it's either you're trying to count his steps or he's trying to fly down the field. And you have to figure that out in 2 seconds as a corner. As opposed to, hey, I know this guy. I can put my hands on the guy, reroute him, and now I can watch and see what he's trying to do. As opposed to, oh crap, I'm putting the pressure on the defense with my release.
Sure, but I would say that. But we're talking about guys that they're beating the odds, if you will. And one thing like when you look at guys like AB, and I'll give you the other guy that probably has played a little bit in terms of like playing on the boundary. That's a shorter guy, which would be OBJ. But
TY as well.
Yeah, I was going to say TY.
Yeah. But we're talking about guys that beat the odds. You know what I'm saying? Like we're talking about guys that you know what I'm saying? Like they bucked the trend, if you will. I don't know that you're going to get, you know what I'm saying, consistently going to get that. And I do agree that Rager is probably more similar to an OBJ and more similar. I'm not saying he's that caliber player, but he's similar in stature to an OBJ. He's similar in stature to an AB that he is, an Alshon Jeffrey. And those guys got production out there. I do think Rager can play the boundary at times. But I do think, like, when you close in the throwing windows, the attribute of having bigger hands and longer reach does benefit a player.
Oh, no, I'm not debating that at all. Yeah. But what I'm saying is the real issue why Rager is probably not going to ever be an X, I don't think he's strong enough.
Yeah. Yeah, Rager's really strong. I don't know if it's his strength, Jalen. I think his technique is flawed on the release. Because I don't think that playing in the, what's the one thing we can say about when you play in the big? How much press was he playing out there at Texas Tech?
Oh, yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Those guys don't play defense.
He never had a good.
I mean, he played Gladney in practice, and they had a few guys out there. But those guys are mostly Gladney can play some man, but like most of those dudes are mostly off-ball coverage guys.
Yeah, exactly.
And, that's the thing is I don't think that he ever really had to refine his technique at releasing off the line of scrimmage, even though his ability to separate in the route stem is tremendous. Like he's got some real wiggle and some real ability to really separate at the top of a route stem on guys. But,
now, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was listening to you.
The reason why I'm saying that I'm basing off of last year and what I saw. So I'm not going to say Rager isn't strong for his position, but understand it's how you move certain guys, I pay attention to. So if you're running and you shove off a guy and he goes back, 2 steps versus you put your hands on him and your body leaves and his body's still there, that's a big difference to me. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I
didn't see that from Rager. I saw that more. How can I say this? I saw it more of I'm trying to fight to get away versus get up off me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not technique. That's what you got behind. That's what you got behind your punch.
But also, like if you go even into the slot, if you play inside, I still think there are physical attributes, not necessarily your size. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about
speed,
the way in which you separate, and having more lateral speed over vertical speed. I think keep people better in the slot.
This is what I was going to ask. Starting lineup, our first game against the Atlanta Falcons this year, I feel as though that it should be Quez Watkins playing the X. As long as this guy's okay, Devontae Smith playing the Z, and this guy playing the slot, Jalen Reagor. I feel as though Reagor deserves to play the slot. He's pretty twitchy off the release and like he's strong. But I just feel as though he's built because he's kind of compact. Like, I'm not comparing him to AB, but he's compact like that. And or not just even Steven Smith. He's compact to a point where he can get off the release from the slot, and he's twitchy and he's pretty quick and explosive off the snap where he can get open within like 3 seconds.
Sure. Yeah.
I would love that.
I think those 3 guys you can bounce around, Eyeshine. So I think you can play all 3 of those at all 3 alignments. I think, all those guys can play the slot quite easily. I think all those guys can play flanker, and I think all of them can play the X, although all of them present challenges of, hey guys, they're going to press you at some point, and you've got to beat this press coverage. I think all those guys you have to worry about. Even Quez at the X, you got to worry about them down there and getting physical with them.
But that's where I feel as though Fulgham can come in too, because he's our biggest receiver.
Yeah,
Fulgham can come in there, and get some snaps too to give guys breaks and stuff like that. But I feel as though that should be our starting 3 receivers to open up the season. What you guys think? Who y'all think our 3 should be?
I think you're pretty close. Yeah.
The only one I'd take off is Quez.
Okay.
The reason why I take off Quez, no, I wouldn't even say I'd take off Quez. I'd replace Quez, what you have on the boundary side, with Fulgham. Because I need somebody other than my tight ends to present a big target to Jalen Hurts. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're saying like physically wise, because Quez is pretty tall. He's about 6'1", 6'2".
It's 6 foot even. But the thing is, his body is thin.
Yes.
So that's the issue I have with it.
Mm-hmm.
He's fat.
I don't see
if you miss him with a jam, it's going to be a problem. But I do wonder if he can separate in press situations. I mean, if I was Nick, I would have, as soon as preseason's done and we start getting ready for the season, I would have a guy like Darius Slay come up there and press the crap out of these dudes and make sure that they, in that couple week span you got to prepare for the game, these guys are ready to face press coverage.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Now my thing is, I'd replace. I'd either have who wins the battle of Fulgham or Reagor. You get what I'm saying?
Okay.
So I think they have very similar skill sets. You get what I'm saying? I think not Fulgham, Reagor or Quez. Sorry, that's the one.
Okay.
They have very similar skill sets. One is I think Quez is a lot more explosive than Reagor.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I think Reagor
stronger.
I think he's a little bit more well-rounded.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, he's built better.
Yeah.
Pause.
And my thing is, all good. But I'm just trying to figure out who's going to win that job. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because even though you're a first round pick, have you really played to the level of a starter?
No, not really. I think right now I would have him as like first off the bench type. I would basically I'd probably split my reps between, Quez,
Rager
and Smith. Honestly, I'd split Smith because he's coming back off an injury, depending on where his health is. Now, if his health is there, then I think you split it with Fulgham.
See, Smith is the anomaly to me. Because he can play a little bit of everywhere. His releases are good enough. He's lengthy enough, and I know we had the discussion of, do measurables really matter? He's very thin, but he's very long at the same time. I think he can, he can stretch out for a few balls across the middle, but I don't know if he can take the hit across the middle in the NFL. That's my main concern with him. You get what I'm saying? Everyone likes to say he played in the SEC, but understand, not everybody in the SEC makes it in the NFL. That's a whole different ball game. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's going to be tough because, just going through, talking about the roster and stuff, special teams. We kind of went over this for a second, but kick returner, I'll say how I have it, and then I'll get your guys' feedback here. Kick returner, I have Kenneth Gainwell. Punt returner, I have Jalen Rager. Gunner, I have Craig James, and gunner, I have Marcus Epps. I know we already talked a little bit about gunner, and I know you have two safeties going there, Jay. What do you have for kick returner and punt returner? I mean, I do think you'll probably see guys like Quez eventually get worked in, but I think because Quez might be starting, they may not play him there. They might use a guy like Gainwell instead. But what do you have there? I hope it's not Boston Scott.
No, I told you Boston Scott cut.
Yeah, because of Gainwell.
Yeah, because put it this way, you've already established I have 4 returners on this team right now that are going to guarantee to make this team. So Gainwell, Rager, Quez, and it's one more I'm missing.
Well, you got a couple of guys in terms of returners.
Yeah.
Well, you can easily go defensive back, man, because some of these guys have experience too. Yeah, I think Avante did a little bit. I don't know if it was punt returns or kick returns. I think he did a little bit in college as well.
Yeah. I mean, but that's the thing.
But if you carried Hightower on the practice squad, you can make him an active game day call up, and then he could be your kick returner.
But I think somebody's going to grab him.
You think so? Because you do have to put him on your active if you claim him.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But
think about this. He got open last year.
Yeah.
He just had drops. Some middle of the road / bad team
last year
is going to take a chance and say, oh, he can get open. Just throw him a 50-50 ball and see what happens. Hopefully he outruns the guy because he's shown he could do that.
Yeah, he just showed that he cannot track a ball.
Exactly.
So who do you have as a kick returner? Who do you think is going to be your starter there?
Starting kick returner. I'd put Gainwell back there.
That's what I was going to say.
Because
we're all in agreement there. We all have Gainwell.
Yeah.
So punt returner,
you're putting Rager.
I have Rager. But I'm going to be honest with you about punt returner. I think it'll be Rager, but I think Rager needs a lot of work at punt returning.
He needs to make sure he can hold onto the ball.
Yeah. Well, not only that, it's judging the ball.
It's judging. Judging. Yep.
Yeah. He feels like someone to me that has the talent, but never really has done it. So, he didn't do it that often. It doesn't feel like to me. So I still think he needs a crap ton of work there. But
also,
I do
that's
think
another issue I have with Rager. His awareness in general.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I do think he's got to work some stuff out there when it comes to that. But I do think that he'll probably get the nod. But man, I wonder. So Aishan, what do you have for gunners? Who are your two gunners?
Oh, my gunners was Epps and Adams.
Epps and Adams.
Yeah.
You guys have, so funny enough, we're all pretty close. I mean, you said you have Watkins as the punt returner, right? Jalen.
Say as the punt returner, either Rager or Watkins, one of the two.
Okay, I got you. So I'm wondering. Let me see punt returners. I think you could technically play Gainwell as a punt returner, but you're not going to probably do kick returner and punt returner.
No.
God, I wouldn't want to see Boston Scott there. Well, no, it wouldn't be Boston Scott. It'd be Greg Ward Jr. I think it'd be your receivers: Rager, Watkins, Greg Ward Jr.
Yep.
Maybe in Avonte Maddox. I mean, Avonte Maddox could probably do it, but you probably don't want your starting nickel doing that.
But that's the thing. I hope I don't ever have to get down to my fourth string punt returner.
No, I'm talking about competing. I'm talking about competing.
No, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But a lot of these punt returning jobs, they're already locked up beforehand.
I feel as though that, honestly, if he makes the team, I can tell you right now, our punt returner is going to be Greg Ward. Guaranteed. He's not going to see a lot of playing time on the field.
I hope not.
You know, but he will probably be our punt returner, and our kick returner, hopefully, will be Gainwell. I would love for Gainwell to be the kick return, punt returner, but that's going to stab him away from getting a lot of playing time on the offense, I believe, because you know.
The only issue I have with Greg Ward Jr. is that he also has issues with fielding the ball cleanly, and he's not explosive.
Yeah, he's not explosive at all. And
you say Greg Ward has an issue with fielding the ball?
Yeah, cleanly, yeah. He's better than Rager, but I mean, he's had issues too.
He's our best secure catch guy.
Yeah,
in fielding that punt on our team so far. But as an actual true returner, not so much.
Nope, absolutely right. You know, he's good for a good 20 yards, maybe 30, but he's getting hawked down, and that's what it shocked me when I saw him when they finally called him up like 2-3 years ago, and I was like, he looks like a burner. And then I'm like, for his stature, for his height, like his weight and everything, I thought he would be at least running a low 4.4 or mid 4.4. He's
deceiving.
He's got to be a 4.6 guy.
He's quicker than fast. You get what I'm saying? He's quick in that short burst, but as soon as you tell him to start striding it out, he done.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I guess that's because he really is new to the position because he was a quarterback.
Yeah.
And that's another thing I want to talk about. Like, especially if we keep a guy like Tyree Jackson on the squad, the tight end. We need to incorporate a lot of trick plays and use these guys that used to be quarterbacks during the games. You know, Greg Ward really wasn't never used last year. Let's use him this year if he's on the team. Same thing with Tyree Jackson. Came from Buffalo. He was a quarterback. You know,
I'm not going to lie to you. It's hard to say now, but I still give Tyree Jackson a chance to play quarterback.
You looked over his Buffalo film.
I was a fan of him when he started to come out. Like, I was surprised he went undrafted. I was like, okay, somebody's gonna, see all of the measurables, the silencer of a cannon he has, and just fall in love. I know that's gonna happen. His issue was he didn't know how to take some off the ball, and it was more than a 1 to 2 year, let me try to teach him type thing. I think he was like a 3 or 4 year project to, okay, now that he got some off that ball, he knows how to read a defense. Let's try and trot him out there in the preseason. Hopefully he makes the back end of a roster as somebody's second string or third string quarterback. And he's solid and he has that role going forward in the NFL. I thought he'd do that, but no, that didn't happen. Because him and Josh Allen used to be together, and that was just, honestly, I wonder who threw the ball further, him or Josh Allen.
They both have good arms. Tyree Jackson's got a strong arm. Yeah, I still think he's probably, Jalen, he's done really well at tight end, though, man. He's been way better than I thought.
Yeah.
I can see him being used on like a fake in the round to the tight end, and he drops back and throws a bomb to Devontae Smith. I can see it. I can see it happening. We bootleg single eye formation, something like that. We got all three tight ends on the line, and then boom, play action, give the Tyree, throw it deep. Devontae Smith.
Now I'll say it like this. I was mad that we drafted Jalen Hurts because
I'm still upset with that pick.
I got you, but here's my thing: the fact that they kept saying we're going to use him in trick. I'm not talking about right now, so If anybody starts talking about, oh, you hurt Jalen Hurts, no. What I'm saying is, the way they were putting it was he's going to be in trick plays, he's going to be in splitting time, this, that, and the third. We're going to use his athleticism. Why not actually use a roster spot that can do both? So I'm looking at somebody like Terrell Pryor. I'm looking at somebody like Logan Thomas, who actually ended up being a pretty decent tight end in Washington. And that's the guy who I said I really wanted to go after was Logan Thomas, because he showed promise the year before when it was in
Virginia Tech.
Yeah, he's from Virginia Tech. Was it when he was at Minnesota, or was he at Carolina? Not Carolina, with the Cardinals. Forgot which one he played before he went to Washington. Yeah. He actually showed a little bit of flashes there. I'm like, okay, he can actually make it in this league as tight end, but he's making the conversion from quarterback to tight end. You get what I'm saying? Give him some time.
Yeah.
So
there were a lot of guys in that draft I felt like could serve the role that they had defined there.
Yeah.
My whole thing was I know they keep proclaiming this, but you just don't take a backup quarterback in the second round.
Absolutely not. Especially
it doesn't make sense.
At that time, Carson Wentz was our guy at that time.
Yeah. It's having some self-awareness.
And luckily this kid is mentally tough. Luckily this kid is tough as nails mentally, because this is not an easy situation to now. You're a second round. Now they're viewing it from the lens of this is a second round quarterback. We want a top 10 talent. Like it's like an uphill battle from, HE double hockey sticks that this young man's facing.
Absolutely.
And it's tough because so I keep asking everybody, define what it means, what he has to, not what it means, but define what he has to achieve to become the franchise quarterback, because it's not easy to show that in one season. Do you remember how unsold Green Bay was on Aaron Rodgers his first year taking over for Brett Favre in camp?
Oh my God. They
were reporting every interception he threw in camp. I mean, they were throwing major shade at him, saying that he was not Brett Favre.
Overanalyzing him. But let's not forget. People kind of forget about this. For all those naysayers about Hurts, and I ain't gonna lie, I was one to a certain extent. But now I start thinking about it. Don't you guys realize the last 4 years, this guy, Jalen Hurts, has had 4 different offensive coordinators. So he's learning a whole new system again for the 4th year in a row. So
he's handled the situation really well, man. I mean, as well as you can expect any guy, not even a rookie, just any guy, period, to handle a situation like this. That's not an established veteran being given promises by the organization. Because look, I mean, we're sitting here August 14th, and to my knowledge, he still hasn't been named the starter. We all know he's the starter, but he hasn't been named it from what I understand.
Now, I'll say it like this. I have an issue with how the Eagles are portraying how they're going to handle this to the media. They're talking about they're only going to give him 1 year. I don't think that's right at all.
No,
give him at least 2. You get what I'm saying? At least let him get his actual feet wet. You get what I'm saying? The 4 games last year, that's like relief duty. Don't even count that as real super experience. This year, it's your number one. They're game planning for you. How will you adjust? Do you have a feel and rhythm for the game? That's what you need to get into this year. And if he fails this year, that's fine, because guess what? He's a young quarterback. He's learning. He's never really had to do this. Next year, I want to see some type of growth or some type of promise that, hey, you can be the guy. You get what I'm saying? That's next year. Yeah. Not just, you need to be the guy now. No.
The crazy thing is, Jalen, is I think that there are similarities between Hurts and McNabb that supersedes just race. There are real similarities there. And the other guy I hear him compared to a lot. I've known Russell Wilson for a very long time as a player. I remember Russell Wilson as a freshman at NC State. And I remember that young man was incredibly talented, but really did not play on time. He was not playing on time with the offense because our offensive line was horrible that year. I believe that was the year we got that kid Crisp that was originally from the state of North Carolina.
Sims.
Was a 5-star commitment that went to Ohio State and then transferred back to NC State.
Or Glennon, wasn't it?
Yeah. Glennon came the year after Russell Wilson. Yeah.
Glennon sucked.
Yeah, Mike Glennon. Glennon was good for NC State. He just wasn't what they thought in the NFL.
Yeah.
But Russell Wilson didn't play on time. I mean, he was escaping for his life, making plays, turned everyone's head, got hurt early his freshman year, and then came back his sophomore year, and it was just like, okay, this dude is legit.
Now, put it this way, I only caught him his last year at NC State, and I caught him his last year in Wisconsin. Was his first year. Yeah. And I was impressed by what I saw. When I found out he transferred, I was like, why did he transfer? Were you trying to get more exposure or something? But I didn't know everything that was behind it. But I was looking at him as a quarterback
Tom
late
O'Brien.
first round pick.
Tom O'Brien. I can't stand this guy. He's such a self-righteous. I'm not even going to get into it, Jalen. Listen, I respect Tom Bryan. He's a former Marine. I get it. I've dealt with Tom Bryan when I was on the campus. He's not a pleasant guy, to be quite honest. Tom O'Brien made the executive decision that because Russell Wilson left the team temporarily to go play baseball, that he was not going to allow Russell Wilson back into the program. So he allowed Russell Wilson to seek a transfer to play Mike Glennon. Mike Glennon was a fine quarterback. He was a good college quarterback. Big arm, pocket passer. He had some cup of teas here in the NFL, cup of coffee in the NFL, but wasn't Russell Wilson, clearly. I mean, and the decision he tried to present to NC State was, we can only get one more year out of Russell Wilson, but we can get 2 years out of Mike Glennon. Man, that one
was
year.
Was he the coach there, before, or is he a new coach when coming in and made that decision?
No, he had a couple of years at NC State at the time he made the decision.
Okay.
And to Tom O'Brien's credit, he took over a really depleted roster when Chuck Amato left NC State. And Chuck Amato's like a really big, bright personality that was really well liked at NC State, but like the late Chuck Amato teams were not good. And Tom O'Brien stepped into like an SHIT show.
Yeah.
At NC State. And
like Mike London, basically.
Yeah, it was bad, man. It was really bad what he stepped into. And don't get me wrong, like Chuck Amato got a lot of big time recruits to NC State. Mario Williams, Phillip Rivers, like he got a lot of big time recruits there, man.
Sorry, that's one of my favorite DNs of all time.
Mario
Williams.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he got a little crazy after his NFL career, man. He got some bad publicity, but I've heard stories about Mario Williams, man. I knew a few guys that back when I was managing security services, Jalen. I had a couple of guys that I employed that, that they would come and work for me in the summertime that played on NC State's football team. And one of the guys talked about Mario Williams came in one time and like took a bunch of dudes out to the club. And he's like, he remembered he had like $500 he saved up, so he felt good by having like $500 at the club. And he said Mario whipped out stacks of $10,000, stacks of 10 G's, threw it on the bar and said, whatever we want to drink, don't ask questions, bring it.
Wow.
Yeah. He was telling me the story because I never really knew Mario, but I knew Phillip a little bit, and I definitely knew Russell a little bit. Phillip was a fool, bro. I remember Phillip throwing up deuces in a biology class and just leaving right in the middle of it, telling the professor, "All right, teach. I'll see you later."
Yeah,
just left, bro. I was like, "What the?" Yeah. Phillip was a trip, bro.
Must be nice.
But I will say that like Russell was a little bit more studious than like Phillip and some other guys were. And now, mind you, I was much older when Russell came on campus, and I was basically coming back my second time at NC State because I paid the price being a young man at NC State and went into the military because I wasn't ready for college yet. I wasn't mature enough yet at that point. But I came back that second time and like Russell Wilson was there. It was just a different atmosphere. It was a different team. But yeah, I mean, it was, difference, man. Tom O'Brien was a guy that was really certain he was right. And when he felt he was right about something, no matter what you showed him to say like, hey, man, have you considered this? There was no moving him off his point.
Yeah.
And it ended up getting him fired.
It's that dictator type role. You get what I'm saying? You're supposed to be the head of the spear. It's one team, one message.
Yeah.
And if you deviate from that, you're not with us, you're against us. And that stuff, I've seen it go wrong.
Yeah.
And
Central capitalism.
Yeah. That's say it one more time.
I said he's like a censored capitalist.
There you go.
Yeah, bro. He was something else, man. I remember this dude freaking out because like there's you know this, Jalen, because you play there. There are roles you can play in terms of setting up things and getting things ready for the football team and stuff like that. And you have guys that work outside the program that do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember this dude losing his SHIT because we were short 10 chairs. It's like, bro, this is kind of easy to fix. Like, chill.
Mm.
10 chairs for what? A meeting or just a?
No, man. It was kind of a meeting, but it was the breakfast before the meeting.
Oh, on game day at the hotel.
Yeah, bro. I mean, losing it, absolutely losing it.
Wow.
And here's the crazy thing about NC State. So it's different now because they built a hotel. When Dave Doran took over, I was there for Dave Doran's start, right? And when Dave Doran came over, they had the Marriott downtown, so the Raleigh Marriott Ski Center.
Stayed down there before.
Yeah, and so they would come in for it was like the first year there before they built this hotel there. And Doran's a cool dude, but Doran was like, I don't know how to explain it, man. I don't want to call him an airhead, but like the dude walked into an elevator that was clearly marked as being down and had like caution tape around it, and he stood in there, and I'm like, shit, what do I do? So I walked up to him. I'm like, yo, coach. I'm like, hey, man, this elevator's down. Let me get you another elevator. So, I hit the elevator, and he's like, oh, man, I appreciate that, man. I'm sorry, bro. Long day. Hey, no problem, coach. I got you, man. This dude is so friendly. He knew that I employed a couple of guys that played prior on the football team and worked event space and security. So this dude came and got me, the coach, and was like, hey, Steve, is there any way I can get you to help my guys, the strength and conditioning team, move they had these kiddie pools full of ice, right? Move them from the conference rooms up to the pool so I can get the guys in there to do, like they got to do their icings and stuff and everything. I'm like, yeah, no problem. Jalen, do you know how much a kiddie pool of ice weighs?
Very, 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 very heavy.
Bro, I'm up with this guy named Deontay Burnett, who's now he works in strength and conditioning with NC State. He's a full-time employee there. And I used to,
he
used to work
wide receiver from last year or 2 years ago?
No, not that one. It's different. It's a linebacker. It's a linebacker. Man, I can barely pick this thing up, bro. And he's like, I'm like, yo, Burnett, I can't do this, bro. Like, I'm not moving 20 of these things, my guy. I'm not. He's like, you got any other guys that can help? I'm like, yeah, let me call my entire security team because I'm not picking these things up like this, bro, all day. I'm just not doing it. That's how familiar he would get with you. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, most other coaches really want a lot of privacy. They don't want you, you know what I'm saying? They don't really want you interacting with the dudes other than maybe a fist bump going to the elevator or something. They don't really want you interacting with people. But, like, yeah, Doran was a lot different, man. Dave Doran was a way different coach.
Yeah. Now, I've had both of those experiences. One where they try and overcorrect it to the point of you can't talk to anybody. Don't even have your phone on you at night when you're in your hotel room, basically. Hey, lights out 10:30, 11. It is what it is. We go, if you want to get in the pool, go get in the pool. As long as you don't act a fool, as long as I don't hear nothing, we good to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, man, I embarrassed the backup quarterback one time on an accident, man. I was kidding around. I was at the front desk, right? And, we provide movies for the football players. They can order whatever they want. You know what I'm saying? And, dude comes down. He's the backup quarterback. I don't even remember the guy's name anymore. He comes down to the front desk. And one of the girls that worked for us was like a nutrition major or something like that. She was, pretty girl. She cheerleaded for the Carolina Hurricanes hockey team and stuff. And dude comes down. I didn't know that he had a crush on this girl. So he comes down, she's standing beside me at the desk or whatever, right? And I'm, I am, man. I'm joking around. Dude comes down, he's like, he's like, man, I'm trying to get a movie, but I can't get it to play, man. Can you fix this for me? I'm like, yo, man, there's certain movies you can't be ordering, bro. And dude turned bright red. And then so I was like walking you upstairs, like, yo, man, I'm trying to holler at that girl, bro. You embarrassed me, bro. I'm like, oh, my bad, man. I'm like, you wasn't doing a great job of hollering at her. I don't know what to tell you. What's up, Eagles Uncensored? How you doing, bro?
What's up, Eagle?
Good, man. How you doing? How you
Good,
guys
man.
doing?
All right.
Good, bro. What's up, man? What you got for your 53, man?
Oh no, I like your list. You know, I actually agree with you on the 2 quarterbacks. I believe we stick with 5 halfbacks, 4 tight ends, 5 wide receivers, maybe 6. But the only reason I say 4 tight ends is because you can't let Tyree Jackson go.
Nope.
Yeah, you got to make sure he stays on this team. So, you know, I just say he makes the team just because of how well he's done already moving over to the tight end position, and this is his first year, you know.
Yeah. I hear you. Eminem, yeah. So the Carolina Hurricanes have a cheerleading group. It's called the Storm Squad. But yeah, that was never my cup of tea, guys. So as you look at the rosters, we've had a lot of conversations about defensive line in particular.
Yeah.
I went with 9 because I feel like you can get flexibility out of a guy like Avery. I feel like you can get guys like Milton Williams who can play D end and D tackle. So I felt like those guys could kind of maybe cover up a shortage on the roster. But we did kind of talk a little bit back and forth, and some, you know, like Jalen and some of the other guys moved one of the linebackers and went 5 linebackers instead of 6, and then either added a safety or added a D lineman. So how would you shape that defense, man? How do you have it going? Like, you don't have to go over players, but how many D linemen, how many linebackers, how many corners and safeties are you keeping?
Well, I know I would probably keep more corners because of our injury history at that position, and you know we need it, and you know we have 2 really good ones in Scott and McPherson. You know,
Yeah.
and I believe those 2 should be kept because you know that I believe, you know, in the position we were in last year. You know, I made the comment last night that the position we were in last year between McPherson and Scott, I feel more comfortable with those 2 than any of the other ones that we've had out there last year. You know,
Sure.
they're more stable, they're more durable, and you know, so far they've proven to be, you know, pretty decent. So, you know, I say they make the team. So I'd at least have to say 4 corners. Well, I want to say Jackson makes it for the defensive line. I know Williams is a monster. You know, I mean, he at least shut me up for 1 week. You know, I really liked what I saw from him. So you know, we're definitely deep at defensive line. Linebackers, yeah, I'd say 5, and then safeties. I don't know. That one's tough, man. You know, because I'm a big Kayvon Wallace and Jacoby Stevens fan. You know, McLeod's there, Harris is there, so that's 4. But then you would think Epps is going to be there, so that would be 5. And Adams might make it just because of special teams, maybe. I don't know. You know, that one's a little harder to debate, you know, because that one's up in the air. That's open right now. So.
Yeah. All right. So we got some interesting commentary. So Jalen's telling me backstage he's got some interesting stories about road games, hotels, and the staff that comes along with the team. What you got, Jalen? He must have. All right, we'll get him back in a second, guys. But I guess he didn't want to reveal all the secrets. No, I mean it's a crazy environment when you get teams like that, and it is kind of interesting to see the other side of that stuff because you know I never played collegiately, so I mean I really wish I could have, but I never had the opportunity to play collegiately and to see that side of things. What's up, Jalen?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hey. That's not monetization worthy, you know.
You can clean it up. It's fine. You can clean it up.
Just say everybody who come on the road with you, they're not there to do their job.
Mm-hmm. You can say that again. Yep.
Yeah. I'm here to, help carry Gatorade, but you got 13 of them. That's all I'm gonna say.
And they all trying to carry it.
Yeah. And put it this way, it's not. I'll say it like this: the coaching staff does their best of trying to weed it out. But when you have a volunteer program, they're taking all the help they can get.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right, and that's the thing. I don't think a lot of people realize. Like, you can have, like, even in the NFL, you can have bed checks, you can have curfews, you can have all these things. It's hard to discipline certain dudes, man, and still be competitive on the field on Sunday and win games.
Oh yeah,
that's kind of the crazy thing about it.
Absolutely.
The saying was, "Hey, in your rooms by 11, just don't let me catch you, peeking your head out." One of my coaches told me that as a rule. Told the whole team that as a rule. So let's not sugarcoat it. They definitely doing that in the NFL.
Yeah, absolutely. Come on, you know dang right well they are.
Yeah, especially some guys, vets. I know for a fact they don't have to share rooms. So, hey, it is what it is.
What's up, Jonathan? How you doing, buddy?
Doing good. How y'all doing?
Doing well, man. Doing well.
When y'all was talking about trick plays, y'all probably see. Y'all think y'all see Tyron Jackson doing the Philly to Hurts?
Tyron Jackson doing the Philly to Hurts. Maybe Tyree. Oh, you say Tyree Jackson.
Tyree.
Hey,
yes.
Hey, you got. He's got more experience, I think, than Trey Burton did.
Yeah, quarterback. Him or Greg Ward.
And Greg Ward. Yeah, you got a few guys on here that's played that kind of position before. So, I mean, we'll see. I mean, I don't know if they're going to do too much 2 quarterback set stuff. I don't know. I do wonder because I think Doug and I don't know if it was Doug, though. I don't know if it was Doug. I don't know if it was Frank Reich, or if it was the who's the quarterback coach we used to have? The one Carson hated. John DeFilippo. Yeah, John DeFilippo. I'm starting to wonder if it wasn't DeFilippo in the quarterback room that was coming up with the trick plays, because Reich doesn't really run a lot of trickery in Indianapolis, and Doug didn't do too much of it after Reich and those guys were gone. So I do wonder if it was maybe more so the quarterback room that was coming up with that stuff.
It was Skip Bob, our old offensive coordinator we hated. We ran him out of town. Press Taylor, I think. Not Press Taylor, the other one.
Oh,
Carson. It was Carson. What's his name?
You talking about?
Remember we ran him out of town, and Indianapolis picked him right up as a wide receiver coach.
Oh,
yeah, you're talking about
Mike.
What was his name? Mike Rowe.
Mike Rowe. Yeah.
There you go. He was the one coming up with the trick plays.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, that's kind of hard to say because I don't know if they're going to really. Because I can say this is that Steichen I've heard is a little more conservative. This is a more of a run-oriented guy, likes to work young quarterbacks with a running game. I know that when you look at Sirianni, he's a matchup guy. He just tries to take advantage of matchups, not necessarily through trickery, just maybe flexing guys out, moving guys around to get them on the guy he wants. I don't know what Brady's going to bring from the college game. Brady's kind of the wild card here as the quarterback coach. And then you got guys like Patullo. Patullo's coming from the Indianapolis staff. Ken Wisenhunt is the guy who really brought Steichen, Patullo, I think, and Sirianni together. I think it was on Wisenhunt's staff in San Diego originally. And he wasn't really much of a guy that ran a lot of trickery. That wasn't really his forte. So I don't know. I don't know the influences that well to say. I mean, it'll be interesting to see.
I just feel as though if the guys are playing a position that they're, basically in the NFL to play, like coming from a quarterback background, why not throw that type of trickery once in a while?
Yeah.
It makes
Well, they're
so
being
much
really
sense.
guarded. They're being really guarded with the scheme, I shine. They're
Yeah.
really trying to keep that away from people.
Let me ask y'all a question.
I'm just
Yeah.
Do y'all
as
think it's
far as
an
like
issue
when
we
the
don't have a
season
veteran
starts.
quarterback, a veteran coach on this staff? And I understand we have our offensive line coach and our defensive line coach, but we don't really have a true veteran. Let me show you how it's done. I've been a head coach before type coach.
Exactly. I would like one.
Singleton hasn't been a head coach, but I don't know if Singleton. You know what? I might be wrong, Jalen. I thought Singleton had been an offensive coordinator before, but I think I'm wrong. Jamel
No,
Singleton.
running back coach.
I think he's just a long-term position coach.
Yeah, running back coach, and he's always been the assistant head coach.
Yeah,
Top
he's a
head coach.
veteran coach, but I don't think him or Stoutland has experience Stoutland's got experience scheming. Stoutland,
it's run game stuff. I mean, I hope our offensive line coach can, scheme with the run game.
Yeah, I think Patullo has experience scheming though too.
But I'm not talking about it as in scheming.
Yeah.
I'm talking about as in being a head coach. Everything else that comes with it, not just the X's and O's. I'm talking about the organization of how much free time you're going to give guys, how much leeway, making the schedule, itineraries, all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, they opted not to bring a consultant in. I just don't think that. I think the way they looked at it, Jalen, and I'm assuming, I don't know, but I'm assuming they thought that could maybe look bad upon Nick if you go get a guy like a Caldwell or a Wisenhunt or an experienced guy. Maybe it would take away from Nick a little bit and make people think that any success or anything, you know what I mean, may not have been Nick's. So I'm wondering if maybe that's playing a role why Nick maybe didn't want to do that, because I think, I'm pretty sure the front office approached Nick about it, and I'm pretty sure Nick didn't want to bring a guy in.
And my thing is, you don't need to bring in a big name. You just bring in a guy who's had experience before, And they don't even have to be on the coaching staff. They can be in the front office as some type of advisory role to the GM. But really behind the scenes, your head coach is going to the front office and leaning on him to figure out, all the ins and outs and day in and day out stuff.
And the only one I could think of would be like a guy like a Caldwell, or not Caldwell. What's his name? The old dude that coached for the Giants, man.
Coughlin.
Talking about Tom Coughlin?
Tom Coughlin or Jim Foss?
Oh, good. No.
I'm not talking about an official role, Jalen.
No.
You don't want his hard nose approach to players.
These two.
We won't have a football team if Coughlin come around.
No, I'm not talking about Coughlin in general. I'm saying a guy like that. I'm saying like a Coughlin or a Caldwell. David Caldwell.
If you're talking about his experience level, yes.
Yeah.
And it had to be that experience. I'm just saying, what's the coach from they got fired in Arizona? They didn't give him a fair shake.
Dennis Erickson?
The one where they drafted Rosen, gave him
Kingsbury?
Was it Hunt?
That was Bruce Arians, wasn't it? And then he went on to
Bruce Arians.
Tampa Bay.
No, it was after Bruce Arians.
Let me look it up. Arizona coaches.
Yeah, he only got 1 year, and they've been brought in dude from Texas Tech. He was supposed to be like USC offensive coordinator or something like that.
Yeah, from Texas Tech. They brought him in after the fact.
Yeah. Let me look it up. All-time coaches. Let's see. List of Arizona Cardinals head coaches. Let's see, guys. Let me take a look real quick. I kind of quit following Arizona after they left the NFC East. I'll be honest.
But they still have our number.
Kingsbury, Steve Wilkes is who you're talking about.
Steve Wilkes. Yep.
Oh, yeah, Wilkes, yeah.
Isn't he coaching somewhere, though, Wilkes?
I'm just saying he didn't have to be a big name guy. What I'm saying is he could have been.
I know why I know him, man. He's on Mizzou's coaching staff.
NC State, I think. Not NC State, A&T, I think.
He did. So he left with the dude that he was the offensive coordinator at NC State. He went to App State, and then he went to Mizzou. What was his name? He had a weird name too. He came from like one of those Mormon places.
Utah, BYU,
I think he came out of BYU. What was his name? Satterfield? No, Satterfield was App State's first coach who went to Louisville.
Yeah.
It'll come to me, man. It'll come to me eventually. I can't think of his name right now, but yeah, he's been around the NFL for a while. I thought he was on Stefanski's stuff too, but I guess he was fired after Stefanski got there. No, he was. Oh yeah, he was. He wasn't retained. Drinkwitz, Eli Drinkwitz. That's his name, dude. The guy that used to be NC State's offensive coordinator went to App State, then went to Mizzou.
Is that
So
when
yeah,
App
he
State
was
beat
Drinkwitz
Michigan?
staff. Huh?
Was that when App State beat Michigan?
No, man, that was a long time ago. No, I think that was Satterfield or the guy before Satterfield beat Michigan. No, Drinkowitz only coached at App State for 1 year. I think he went like undefeated or something like that, and then Mizzou hired him right away. Yeah, he was a good coordinator.
Because before North Dakota State, there was App State, and they used to run FCS.
Yes, you're right. Yeah, they were the one, and it was like it was like the mid to later 2000 era. They beat Michigan. I remember that game. Yeah, I think that was definitely before Drinkowitz, because Drinkowitz coached. Drinkowitz is the reason we end up getting. NC State had the dude from Cincinnati, the blonde-haired kid, that was really accurate passer, but has no arm strength at all. I can't think of his name, man. I can't think of his name, but you would know it as soon as I said it. I can't remember. But let me see. App State. Yeah, they finished 12-1, and they beat Louisiana in the Sun Belt.
Gotcha. I'm gonna try and start this movement for our third string quarterback. Let's try and get Timmy Chang back.
Timmy Chang.
Yes. Blast from the past, but at least he was fun to watch as our third string quarterback.
Yeah, we need something, man. That was a pretty bad game, man.
Yeah. I wish that we do get like an elder, like statesman, as far as somebody to just be the overseer of all the coaches and just, throw in their little tidbits and stuff like that. Like when you think about it, our linebackers coach is the same age as Singleton, I believe. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Look like he should be, putting on pads with him.
I figured out the guy's name I was trying to think of, man. It was Ryan Finley. Ryan Finley, like Drinkowitz coached Ryan Finley and had Ryan Finley looking really good, and Ryan Finley got drafted, and that kind of came apart. He didn't have the
he was
arm.
supposed to be like a second-round quarterback, but he ended up going like in the 5th to Cincinnati.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he didn't have the arm.
What was it? Dalton's replacement or Dalton's backup.
Yeah. All right, Philly Mike podcast. I appreciate you, Philly Mike. What's good, buddy? He said, still going. This is old Battle Birds podcast style. I'm about to close it out here in a minute, man, but, we're having a good conversation, so I didn't want to close it out while we were having a good conversation, man, because I love talking about old school stuff and, the behind-the-scenes things that happen on football teams.
Mike, if you still in the chat, you ruined it.
Yeah.
This was a trick. We were supposed to have good conversation, and the hours are supposed to fly by. Come on now, Mike. Don't mention the time.
Yeah. Supposed to get finished. Ain't nothing like reminiscing.
I remember this, bro. We used to start like 5, 6 o'clock. We'd be going to like midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. I remember those, man.
Oh.
Well, I'm a long time listener. First time actually on the pod talking.
We appreciate you, Aishan. We appreciate you, man.
Likewise, man. I appreciate you, Philly Mike, LB. I've been listening to all you guys since y'all had I come from the womb. I was there from the beginning. Like, I've been the Eagles fan since Randall.
So have I. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm 42. So,
man, I remember the original quarterback controversy, man. Oh my God, dude, you remember that when the first one was when they signed Jim McMahon in the offseason 1 year and Randall got hurt and they brought McMahon in. I remember that one starting. And then do you remember the Rodney Pete when they made the decision to go with Pete over Randall?
Oh my God. And then Yeah, because he was with Holly Robinson. There was a whole lot of like hoopla about all that after the fact that he got the job and he got this prize at home, and you know he was living the baller's life. Ronnie P was living the baller's life.
Yeah. So
Now,
Philly,
I will say,
Mike said, "Sorry, Jalen. Good to see Eyeshine calling in, though."
yeah. No, but I will say it like this. It snuck up on me. I've been an Eagles fan for 19 going on 20 years. And I'm, 26? Going on 27?
Okay.
Oh, you were really young, man.
Oh, you're young.
Yeah, you were really young when it came to McNabb era.
Yeah.
You were young.
Yeah.
I saw McNabb. The first time I ever seen McNabb was he was in the, I think he was in his first or second NFC NFC championship game. He lost, but hey, he was, other than Michael Vick, you know, he was, hey, this is the guy who can play quarterback who's black. Like, oh,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Man,
okay.
I remember when the worst era of football I watched for the Eagles was when Ty Detmer was going to be the guy, and then it was going to be Bobby Hoying, and then it was like, geez, just draft somebody. For
And
the
don't
love of
forget
God.
Coy, his brother. Don't forget his brother.
Coy Detmer, yeah. Man, bro, that was
Go way back.
Man, we were desperate. We were desperate for quarterback play for a while.
Yeah. Oh my God! I remember selling to some of my buddies that Bobby Hoying was going to be good. Back in the day, I thought he was going to be the next Peyton Manning.
He had that one, like he came in like halfway through that one season, man, and he lit it up.
Yeah,
and then
like
they brought him back the
games
next
in a
year,
row.
and he just sucked, man. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. Hey, by any chance you're watching this, Bobby Hoying, I apologize. I don't mean that disrespectfully. I mean your season that year was bad.
Yeah,
really bad, man. Historically
Sorry,
bad.
Bobby.
Yeah.
Hey, you made it to
Sorry,
the
my
league,
guy.
buddy. He made it to the league, though.
Yeah.
Small percentage.
Yes. Collect that check.
Yeah. I try to be careful because I did have a big conversation with Max Brown when I brought him on the show that time. And backstage, we talked a lot about the mental strain of playing football and being in the spot like that, especially quarterbacks, and like what it does to you. And man, he had an interesting story, man. I mean, being called the biggest bust in college football history. Whew, man, I can't imagine.
That's crazy.
Do y'all remember Philip Sims?
Yeah.
Phil Sims, yeah.
No. Not the Philip Sims y'all talk. You think about
Giants,
the big one. The other one.
I remember Christian
went to Alabama, then transferred to UVA.
Oh, yeah, yes,
yeah, that Philip Sims. Like that was. Now he had some of the. I think he went more under the radar, but if you look at his, decline, that one was like scary to me. But the thing is, he could ball though.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough, man. Like, it's tough when you get up to this level because, like, we all get frustrated and we're like, man, this dude stinks. But honestly, these dudes are like the top 1% of all players of all, what I'm saying, playing the game. Yeah. It's really hard because it's difficult because they're not good in comparison to the rest of that 1%. But they're incredibly talented players in reality. I mean,
it's so much faster, man. That's one thing I do remember from playing. It's the speed is faster from high school to college to semi-pro is so faster. It's just the speed is a little different.
And
it's
people
really
think when you talk about speed, they're thinking about physical, but no, it's the mental part. That's the trouble.
The mental part, yes.
Yeah.
You gotta wait for it to slow down.
Yeah.
You gotta wait for it to slow down because I mean, like, it's more like technical. It's more technical because the guy across from you is technically sound just as you are. So it's like he got to counter for mostly everything you come at him with.
Yeah, exactly. And put it this way, you get my welcome to reality moment. I was 18. I didn't know the D tackle I was going against was 26, and that's what a grown man. That's what a grown man is.
Like.
You 18.
Yeah.
He's 26 with kids.
Mm-hmm.
And you like, this is a different ball game.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You ain't say nothing wrong.
Yeah.
You know.
And then you get 21 and you finally realize, oh, now I got my grown man strength.
Mm-hmm.
But guess what? As soon as you turn 26 in the NFL, no, the 26 or 27 in the NFL, that's when you really get your grown man strength in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Jalen,
So I
I
understand how
remember
young players are adjusting.
I remember thinking to myself and trying to walk on at NC State and spending 9 months, like yo, I'm gonna be in shape, bro, when I step on that field, and being humbled when you stepped onto that field and you saw real talent. Like nothing humbles you like that, man. Like
Yeah.
I was like, bro, I could be a lot of things in life. This ain't gonna be one of them.
Yes.
Because I was entirely like, I got by being a shorter guy, I got by being able to play in high school and stuff like that. But bro, when you get up to a certain level, like
They're all the same.
yeah, man, like they look at your height and they're like, okay, like, all right, let's have you work out at slot. Let's have you work out at receiver. Let's have you work out at let's try you out in the nickel. Let's try you out at safety. And I'm like, okay, like I don't have the technical skills to do this, man, because I ain't been playing this for 12 years at this point.
Yeah.
Like,
and
I'm so far behind everybody else on the footwork but it made me a better coach because that was the first experience I ever had to like really understand, hey man, you got to hit the books and you got to learn technique.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Alignment, assignment, technique.
Mm-hmm.
That's the basis of all football. And
I remember, in high school and stuff, you feel invincible. So like you're like, yo, I'm going in headstrong. I'm gonna make a play. Man, you try that at the college level. Hey man, you might need a stretcher.
Exactly.
Now I'll say it just like this. Everybody, a lot of people have a high school experience. All the stuff that they see, is amazing play in high school. You see that every day of the practice in college.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One-handed catches, it is what it is. You're talking about, a guy getting mossed, it is what it is. You see that every day. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I like to tell the players I've coached. I always told them when they would come to me with these dreams about playing in the NFL, playing collegiately, hey man, you better dedicate yourself to this trade like you've never dedicated yourself to anything else in your life.
Yeah.
Because you got to eat right. You got to get proper workouts in. You have to live in the film room. Like you have so much work to do.
You have to live in that film room.
Yeah, you can achieve it,
yeah.
But it won't be without effort.
Now I'll say it like this, and people undercut. I think a lot of people undercut this. The nutrition part is real because I had to gain a lot of weight because I went from DN to guard/tackle. But the only reason why I did that was because I was being recruited both ways at other bigger schools to be a guard and tackle. So understanding 5,000 and 6,000 calories a day.
Yeah.
And understanding, okay, I got to make sure I'm eating the right stuff. How can I make this a good weight? How can I not make this fatty? Then, once you're in the season and, spring ball, everything is, it's easy now. But as soon as you go home for that summer, you take that week off, it's trouble trying to get back to it.
I would love to interview Jalen. And if I ever got this channel up to like real, like notoriety, like, having a certain level of notoriety for the size of the channel. I would love to get somebody on here like Stan Efferding, who, is a former bodybuilder, pro card bodybuilder, works with college athletes and college programs on nutrition and bodybuilding and getting stronger. I would love to have him come in here and actually talk and like really lay out like what that means, how that works as a professional athlete or even a collegiate athlete. Cause I think that's a big step up from, obviously from high school, man.
It is. It really is.
Like, I'll say it like this. The one thing I've learned is everybody's body is different. And you have to learn that as as a trainer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you give guys personalized workouts, things like that, you have to really pay attention to each one of the players. And think about this. You got a college roster. You have, let's say, 80, 90 guys. You have to crank out workout plans for each one of them.
Yeah.
Understanding what's going on. And one thing I found out that was crazy to me, you can not lose weight by not eating.
Yeah, you're right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because at one point in time, my schedule was so busy. Meeting, class, practice, all right, eat one time throughout the rest of it, one time at night for the day.
So let me ask you a question, Jalen. When you were playing collegiately and you're trying to keep a certain size on, how many meals in a day did you have to eat? Like just small little things that people don't think of as meals.
Yeah, you have to have constant snacks every time, like peanuts, just something to keep you going. Trail mix, all of that stuff, power bars, protein bars, all of that. That stuff is big.
Because you were talking about 5,000 calories. Man, that's like, what, over 1,500 calories per meal.
Yeah.
Between 15 and just under 2,000 calories a meal. Even if you only did that, I'm saying it 3 meals. There's just that would be incredibly difficult to do.
I walked into college with a 4-pack.
Yeah.
I walked out my freshman year. Okay, my body's filled out. I might have lost, my a little bit of what I had up in the middle, but guess what? It looked full. I was a whole different body type. I walked out my freshman year. I went
that's
from
always a crazy thing to see the strength and conditioning programs and like what they have to do with young men coming in, because they're only 17, 18-year-olds that probably don't know a whole lot about nutrition and proper weight training.
Yeah. I walked in 265, 270, walked out of my freshman year 290.
Whew. That's a big difference. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
the thing is, you never know I'd really gained a lot of weight based off of my frame.
So you know what's funny, Jalen? My senior year, I was like 5'7", 140. Okay. I knew obviously I was gonna have to get up to I knew I was gonna have to get up to like 165 to ever have a shot playing collegiately. Right? I'm not kidding you. My freshman year of college, I tried to eat. I tried to do everything they told me to do, but the workouts were so intense. I lost 10 pounds.
As soon as you got there. Yep.
I had no shot, man. I couldn't gain the weight. I couldn't do it.
Now, I'll tell you the craziest thing.
5'7", 130, there was no college program that's D1 or even at the time would have been called D2, maybe 3, where I was ever going to stick at that weight. I was going to get hurt.
Now, I'll say it like this. The one thing people don't realize, take the big guys.
Yeah.
Think about this. In a practice, I've seen guys lose 15 pounds. And I'm not talking about, well, he's just 400 pounds, sloppy, this, that, and the third. No, this is a guy who's been training, 10 out of 12 months out of the year. He's in pretty good shape for his size. All the measurables are there. And guess what? He lost 15 pounds in a practice. Now the coach is up his butt, talking about put the weight back on. I need you to put the weight back on.
Yes, they're hyper responders. Jalen, it happened to me in the military too, where they told me they wanted me to put a little weight on, and I tried. But the physical activity was so high that I'm a hyper responder to either sedentary or hyperactivity. I gain or lose it fast.
Yeah, and that's how I was in high school. So I could be 1 week, I could be 270. The next week, I'm around 250. Yeah. And people just look at me, how? Oh, you've been working out, you've been doing this. No, I've just been sitting, doing, going through the motions at practices and everything like that. And then the next thing you know, I'm back up to about 275.
If you go back to my if you go back to my first videos, Jalen, go back to my very first videos and look how thin I was, because at that time I was still running camps.
Oh.
That's why I was that skinny. I had to keep demonstrating how to do things. I was constantly out there running with, I'm talking, you're running with 13 to 18-year-olds. You know what I mean? Like, I'm constantly running out there, showing them how to properly release off the line, how to hit their drops the correct way. Like, man, I was always doing something. I think when I first started this channel, man, I was like 36, somewhere in that area. Dude, I probably weighed 145 pounds.
Good Lord.
Yeah. Like, that's how fast I can respond to stuff like that. Like, it's
Yeah,
the
you was a
craziest
small
thing, man.
dude.
Yes. Yes.
Like a
But
real small dude.
I've always struggled with that, man. Like, now
Yeah.
I got way more weight on me than that. But if I started running, I would immediately shed down like that again. And like, it gets frustrating, man, because like when you're coaching, like, you don't want to be, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a balance with that stuff, man.
Yeah.
And like,
I'll say it like this. Last year, I was I was 3. I'd gotten up to about 355.
Yeah.
This was mid-year. Like, I say July, August time.
Yeah.
By June of 21, no, was it 21 or 20? June of 2020, I'd gotten down to 299.
Yeah.
Didn't do anything, crazy. Didn't do anything irregular. It was just, oh, well, I actually got a chance to sit down, eat better. Not even like really better. Like, let me actually not get this cheeseburger and let me get some chicken. Nothing really changed. My body is just like that.
Yeah, not fried, but eat it baked.
Yeah, like the grilled. Grilled is my thing.
That's why I would love to have, like, Jalen. That's why I would love to have someone like Stan Efferding on here that could talk about this kind of stuff, because I've heard him talk about before about being late to puberty because of diet. Like, young men being late to puberty due to diet.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, I never heard that.
You know what I was told? I am 2 inches shorter than I should be because I didn't drink milk as a kid. I didn't drink milk as a kid. I didn't take vitamins and all this other stuff.
Yes. You're right on it, Jalen. Yes.
Huh? And
yeah, you're right on
it. I'm 6'3" now. So basically I've been 6'5" if I actually drunk,
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually kept up with my nutrition as a kid.
Not eating chicken, not eating eggs, not eating, bacon, not drinking milk, not all those things. While there's health benefits and there's health consequences to everything.
Yeah.
One of the things is that with young men, if you're on highly processed foods, it can really stunt you from maturity level in terms of hitting puberty. And he talked about that. And like, I never was ever diagnosed with anything like that, but I always wondered because I was always little. Like, dude, I was able to wrestle at 132 as a senior in high school.
Wow.
Yes. Like, that's crazy to think about, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But it's funny you said that when you mentioned that deal about milk, because I went to a JUCO school in Rockville, Maryland. I was Montgomery.
I think I know where it is. I think I know what JUCO you went to.
Montgomery Night, about 20 minutes away from Washington.
Montgomery?
Yeah, Montgomery.
Go up. You can get there going straight up Georgia Avenue.
Yep.
I know what you went to.
Because I live in South Jersey. I'm from South Jersey, but I ain't know all my way around there like that. My mom drove me down there. I was young back then.
Yeah.
But I'm saying this because a guy that was one of our my roommates, we called him Milk Dud. He was a big country dude, real big. He was our tight end. He was about like 6'4", 6'3". He's probably about like 240 pounds. I'm not lying to y'all when I tell you this. Everywhere we saw him, like walking around before practice, in the hallways, whatever, this kid kept a gallon of milk with him. We called him Milk Dud.
Oh yeah.
As a matter of fact, was drink milk every day, all day.
If you go to take Buffalo for example, Buffalo, U of R, JMU, all of those programs, those were the schools I committed to JMU originally. Okay. So that's why I know more about the FCS and everything like that. See, my thing is they had coolers, like the whole refrigerated coolers full of muscle milk, full of that Gatorade protein, full of Gatorade chewables. All of that stuff is what you intake in your body. And guess what? It keeps you, looking from the outside in, oh yeah, I'm just gonna take this stuff and it is what it is. I mean, it's what I can snack on. But actually, what it does for your body in the long term, you actually get bigger, you actually get stronger, you actually put on natural weight that's healthy, and that was crazy to me.
Yeah, and you know,
that's
like,
why dudes like you know, like
about that,
like Boston Scott. You know, people think he's little, but honestly, Boston Scott's a little shorter than me, and
he's a
like
bowling ball.
200 pounds. Yeah, like that's hard. That's really difficult to do at that height, and it's really difficult to do that. Like, and you're right, Jalen. Like, it is kind of funny. Like even when I was younger, and mind you, you know, I guess Aisha and I are probably fairly close in age, but when I was younger, they used to try like they would give you like underweight guys. They would tell you to take like all these things that were like protein, like high protein weight gainer stuff. That doesn't make you gain weight. It doesn't make you gain weight.
It's always so pasta.
Yeah. It doesn't. It does nothing to make you gain weight. It actually might make you lose weight. To be honest,
faster.
Yeah. Like it was so flawed. It was so flawed what they were having us do.
It really was. It really was in the 90s. It really was the late 90s, early 2000s. It was.
Yeah.
It really was. It was flawed.
I had a coach shove down my throat peanut butter. Every meal he wanted me to eat peanut.
Same thing. Yeah.
And just it was to the point of peanut butter crackers, peanut butter sandwiches, no jelly, peanut butter by itself. That's how crazy it got. And
I think what he was thinking, Jalen, is that peanut butter is so palatable. If you don't have a nut allergy, of course, but it's so palatable that maybe you could overconsume the calories. But you're right, like your metabolism will pick up, though. That's the problem.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, they did the same crap to us, man. It was like such flawed science to how you actually gain muscle and weight. It was so flawed back then. Like nobody knew what they were doing. And they were just telling people stuff, and it was completely wrong. You probably remember, Aishan. You remember the craziness around creatine back in the day?
Oh my God! People put an egg in it. People used to say add water and put an egg in it, and I found out years later you're supposed to really just put milk in it or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Now my thing is, I took creatine once. I said, nope, you can have that. The taste of it was awful.
Water. Yeah.
I took it and it, you just blow up. Like
exactly.
And stuff like that. Like but
makes you feel good after a workout.
I was 19, 20 years old at that time. Like I ain't know no better. I went from because I played at 270, 275, and next thing you know, I'm all the way up at 295, 305, 640. So I thought about what you were saying. I was like, damn, I wish I really would have drunk milk. And I really drunk milk growing up because all I did breakfast, I ate a lot of cereal. I mean, I ate cereal. I still eat cereal to this day, but I've never eaten my cereal with milk. Cereal growing up, but
I despise milk that much.
Drunk milk,
like dry spooning it, huh?
Milk, like milk. This guy walked around the campus. He kept a gallon of freaking 2%. I'm not lying. Milk. He kept it in his hand, kept it in his book bag.
Oh yeah,
he just drunk it all the time. All the time.
Yeah, it's crazy, man, because like I just think about it, like, even the military was a little better. They had a little better grasp. They hired actual like nutritionists to come in and talk to us and stuff, but the science was still a little flawed even back then, because I'm talking early 2000s.
Yeah.
And it was still a little flawed back then, man. I mean, like they didn't know as much as they know now about stuff. And I did, I was able, I will say, with proper guidance and stuff, like when I was in the military, I got up to like 155, 160, pretty solid. It was the first time I was able to actually like really build and sustain muscle like that. And I mean, it was crazy though, man. It was crazy going through that as a kid, because like before I was a quarterback, Jalen, they had me as a running back. So they were definitely trying to put weight on me. And I couldn't do it. Like I said, man,
145 as a running back, I would have killed you.
Didn't I tell you the story about the time I pulled my hamstring?
I would have got you.
Didn't I tell you the time I pulled my hamstring, man? I couldn't get to the sideline.
Oh, now that's the worst.
Yeah,
I snapped mine. It felt like I got shot in the back of my leg that one time. I understand a quick little strain, no, mine popped.
Yo,
Feel like I got shot.
it's the worst, man.
Yeah.
I remember
So-
one time I didn't have enough fluids, and both of my legs tensed up and got Charlie horses in both of them.
Oh, man.
And
Yeah.
both my legs at the same time, sitting there stiff like a log.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's happened
You
to
know,
me
that happened
before.
to
They
me.
had to,
I cut salt and I cut iodized salt, and it has potassium in it and stuff. And I didn't realize that those cramps come from really a depletion of potassium and magnesium. And I had a full body one like that before, man. Where like I woke up, I was in the Navy. I woke up, bro, and I couldn't move anything.
Damn.
I'll tell you what though, the most magical thing I've ever seen, that IV they give you when you get a full body or you just start cramping in games. I don't put it this way. I don't claim to know the science. I don't care. They're trying to say they hydrate me with the IV bag. That's all I know. I'll tell you what, it works.
It's saline solution.
That's
saline.
Yep.
Yeah, it's saline. Yeah.
Because
they're putting, so like what they're doing,
mustard-
Galen, is they're putting back the minerals and things like that. You sweat it out.
Yeah. And put it this way, my old trick of, hey, keep some mustard, just in case. So I'm old. You see, I could grow up in old school.
Yeah.
Keep some mustard just in case. It ain't work. I knew I was in trouble.
Dude, yeah. That's man. That's the worst, bro.
Yeah.
And you can feel sometimes, man, you can feel that down to your feet, bro. It gets into your hands. Like it's the worst, man. Like
as soon as you try to move a little bit, it just tightens up more. Like it's about to straight rip.
It's any little movement. Next thing you know, come on, sit down. You ain't going nowhere.
Yeah. It's funny because like I talk to people and they'll be like, "Oh, you must have like." They're like, "Did you have an arm like Carson?" I'm like, "No, bro. My arm was more like Jeff Garcia." Like, no, man. I played a lot more outside the pocket. We ran a lot of option back then. I'm like, dude, we were playing like 11-man personnel was like unheard of back then.
You was doing the spread before the spread really got heavy in college football.
Yeah. Like, no, we weren't running nothing like that, man. Like it was way different when I played. It was so much different than what you see today.
I formation. Let's go split back.
Wing
there you go.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's what was the wing T.
Veer option.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's how it used to be.
And man, you had like I remember too, man, because like I remember when you came out, I don't know if iShine, it was probably like this for you guys too. They cut varsity, JV was not cut, but they would do these things that was called a test of heart, and they would try to make you quit. That's how it was.
Just throwing it at you. But see, I'm not gonna lie, like I only played like 2 games when I was in high school. I played like 2. No, I think I never even played a freshman game. I played like 2-3 games of varsity, and then of JV when I was a freshman. I played like 2 games, and then they moved me right up to varsity because I was so much bigger and stuff like that compared to everybody else. Well, there was one other guy on our team that was huge, called him House. Dude was like 6'9" and like 330 pounds.
We had a guy like that named Prentice. It was like 6'8", 300 pounds. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember in our local newspaper, they had him like sized up with Shaq and Yao Ming. It was in our front news, like our newspaper, hometown newspaper. He was huge. He was huge. But man. Yeah, man, I just I was wild a little bit, so I ended up not getting the full scholarship to Ole Miss because they came to see me my sophomore year, and he said just keep these certain amount of grades, this and that, and I didn't want to do it or listen, so I basically got a ride to go to Rockville to JUCO for 2 years, and then I was going to go to Ole Miss.
Now Ashon, tell people about that partial scholarship. It's kind of like a scam.
Yeah,
it really is a scam. But see, what happened with me was I ended up leaving in the mid-season because I had a kid my senior year in high school. I had a baby on the way, and actually she was born already. The year I graduated in 98, my daughter was born March 5th. I graduated that June. So by mid-season, my baby mom going through a lot of stuff back home here in South Jersey. So she's calling my phone going off. I can't live here. I can't live here. And like, it was a whole lot of issues. Like my family didn't really, deal with her like that, whatever. So basically I had to come home to take care of my kid because I needed money faster than education. But it was crazy because I was on the second string, I was on the third string, and by the end of camp, I was first string defensive tackle. And I never forget one of my defensive linemen, I can't remember his first name, but his last name was Washington. He was actually on the Washington Redskins, or I should say Washington football team. He was on that Super Bowl winning squad when Doug or what's his name?
Doug Williams.
The first black quarterback to win the Super Bowl.
Doug Williams.
Yes.
Yeah.
Doug Williams. He was actually one of the defensive tackles on that squad. That was my defensive line coach, and I mean, he pushed the shit out of me. He coached the hell out of me to the point where I went from third string DN, and then they moved me in and had me playing D tackle. You know, and the next thing you know, baby mom calling me this and that, boom. So I ended up breaking the lease of the place where I was staying. I had to leave, and it was just crazy situation at that time for me.
Now I will say it like this: JUCO a different animal.
Yeah, and we had
JUCO a different animal. Once you get to a program
air in our
college
apartment, no air.
Exactly.
No air.
All that stuff they tell you basically, come here, play football, fend for yourself.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's it with JUCO.
You play.
Everybody I heard went to JUCO. They said it was a madhouse.
Madhouse. Yep.
Yeah.
Madhouse.
Put it this way: people slit your throat for one position over you, or start one game over you.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. It's
it really
cutthroat.
Cutthroat. Exactly.
Yeah. But at the same, also I was getting back at that partial scholarship stuff.
You become a man.
Oh yeah.
You become a man working on JUCO.
It make you mature faster.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying? That's why a lot of guys who have maturity issues go from program JUCO back to program league.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good point. I tell y'all like this, and like me and my buddies to this day, we still talk about it. My junior year at Ole Miss, if I would have had the great grades like I should have kept or whatever, because I was pretty good my freshman year with grades, but then girls, this and that, I started wilding. Like it was a big school I went to, so I was actually like being escorted to my classes by the security guards and everything after my freshman year. I had the record for sacks in one game. I was just going ham. But I'm telling y'all this. Let me tell y'all this. What happened was, I never forget. It was my sophomore year. I got called into the vice principal office, which was at the 1112 building, which is about 2-3 minutes away from the 910 building. So you got to catch trolleys, but they actually escorted me to his office, and I'm like, what I did now? So I get called into the guy's office, and out of nowhere, there was a knock at the door. There was this guy that came in there. He had blonde hair, blue eyes, and had a red jacket on that said Rebels in the front. And he was just talking to me about the facts of life and this and that. And I'm like, yeah, what I do, whatever. And then when he left, it said Running Rebels on the back. And then I had an Ole Miss sign, but I was so not caught up because I was so young and still caught up on what I wanted to do in life.
Yeah.
So, one thing led to another. And I let something really pass me by and not realize, but I tried to change my ways. But then, I had a baby on the way. But my junior year would have been Eli Manning's freshman year. And my freshman year would have been Deuce McAllister's senior year at Ole Miss. But they basically was going to fly my family in and everything.
Yep.
It's just mishaps that happen, and you just learn from it.
Dante,
that official visit.
Yeah. So a partial scholarship, Dante, is you don't hear about it as much in what they call the money sports, so like basketball and football, although it does occur. It's mostly what you hear from what they call the non-revenue sports, which is not true. All sports are really revenue, but there's a distinguishing difference between basketball, football, and the rest of the sports. So like baseball, volleyball, all those things. Like generally speaking, you get a partial scholarship, which could be 50%. There's variables. There's 75. There's variables to it. So you only get part of your tuition and stuff covered, which means you're really only getting half, if not less, of the benefits of a full scholarship player. So it's a lot goes into it, man. It's complex.
See, because I'll say it like this: the situation I was in, I was at a small school. Not too many people heard of me.
Mm-hmm.
When I was on people radars, guess what? They kept monitoring the situation. Hey, do you have any offers? Have any offers? Have any offers? The first one came in, I got 4 that week. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Full.
Yeah, as soon as one offers,
Yep.
it opens it up.
And then, and a lot of what I figured out, because I ended up talking with one of my coaches, you know, this was after he left my school. He was saying, while he was at JMU, what happened was everyone knew that you could play. You was just need to put on weight. You get what I'm saying? Your frame is perfect, blah, 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 fast enough, you know, you're just not strong enough. You've never been in the weight room before. So guess what? A lot of people just offered me after they found I had to get surgery, they just said, hey, we'll float this half. You earn the rest when you get here. It is what it is. And I'm talking about this NC State. So you understand what I'm saying. I'm not saying I was like the giant recruit. No. What I'm saying is I've had full offers and they just pulled them as soon as they found out, hey, the start of next year, I might not be there for the season.
Yeah. So no one gave you a blue shirt? No one gave you like a blue shirt offer or anything?
They gave me what was it?
So like a blue shirt.
What do you mean by blue shirt?
Shirt's like when you count against the scholarships. Yeah, you count against the scholarships, but you won't get your scholarship until the following year.
Oh, that's what you call
like
gray.
red shirt his freshman year. You're talking about a Prop 48.
You're talking about gray shirt. Yeah, I got that.
Yeah.
I got 2 schools that did that to me. And both of them were private schools, so that's 50 off top for the first year. So I'm not doing that.
I totally get it, man. Well, my whole situation was I couldn't keep the grades up, man. I wanted to be caught up in the streets to a certain extent or whatever, you know. But once I started putting my head on, got my head right on my shoulders, boom, I got a baby. So, you know.
I'm sorry, Jalen, you're right. I mixed them up. So gray is when you get the offer, but it won't be till the following year. Blue is when you get the current year, but you borrow from the following year for scholarship. Yeah. So blue shirt means like you only had 20 scholarships to hand out, but you give 21 because you borrow one from, 2022s or 2023s for 2022. Yeah. But gray is when they skip it forward a year. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was like, nah. But you still work out with the team. You're in the meetings, all that stuff. Yeah. You're just in the clothes, working out on the sideline. Well, golly gee, I hope I get in. I'm hoping with you guys next year. And the thing is, people don't realize your scholarship is really year to year.
Exactly.
So just because you got a full ride doesn't mean you're going to have a full ride. Doesn't mean you're going to have a scholarship after the first year.
They can take it away.
Exactly.
Or turn it into a partial.
If you underperform,
exactly,
it's gone.
There it is.
So you supposed to be some 5-star recruit. I got to walk on that beat you. The guy was a freshman last year, or a redshirt freshman, beat you too. Now you're third string. I also got this new guy coming in from another school. I think I'm gonna pull your scholarship. You can be a walk-on though.
Hey, that happens.
Isn't Alabama notorious for that?
That happens to my nephew. Yeah. He got a full ride to Ball State, and he messed up his knee. Ended up getting transferred. Had to go to Lackawanna in Pennsylvania.
Lackawanna.
He went to Lackawanna. Yeah. And then from
that's
Lackawanna,
no. Honestly, that's the JUCO of JUCOs on the East Coast.
Yes. My nephew, I put everything I knew in him, so he turned into like a monster. Like he was a beast. He would have been, and he was in the same class with this guy from Patterson. He's with the Green Bay Packers, the linebacker. We went up to the New York Jets, East Rutherford, for the Nike. Because see, this wasn't happening back when I played, or back when me and Gate was playing. But they got all those, those different type of clinics you can go to, and all those Jones where all the scouts come out.
Camps and everything.
Yeah. What the guy? What's the guy? The guy. He was picked like in the first round. I think he was like the number 20th pick by the Packers 2 years ago. The linebacker. Oh my God! I think they got him play defensive end for the Packers. Well, him and my nephew was pretty cool, and like they was like right there, eye to eye stuff. Like I didn't know that he was going to blow up like that. I cannot remember his name right now though. It's crazy.
See, it was the same. I'm gonna tell you a funny story. It's a dude named Dimitri McGill.
Mm-hmm.
He played at ECU. Everywhere he was, I was there.
Yep.
I found out every board that offered him was going to offer me next if he declined the offer. And that was like crazy to me because every camp I go to, invite only camp. He's here. He's here. He's here. They're pairing us up together. What the heck?
Yeah. It's crazy.
And honestly, you really realize like, oh yeah, I saw you last week. I saw you this week. I saw you that week. I saw you this week. And you just know guys.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It is. It is. I'm telling you, the way and like how hard it is for young inner city kids to get to the league when you got to go through the rigors and the struggle. People don't understand that. Like from Lackawanna, he still had like 2-3 years of he had 2 years of eligibility still. So he ended up going out to a Group 2 school out in Florida, which is Florida Tech, but not Florida Tech.
They just started their program early, like 2012. They just started their program.
Yep, you already know. And they just ended the program like 2 years ago. They don't have a football team no more.
But the thing is, they sold you on this beautiful campus. Everything was laid out.
Beautiful.
Hey, here you go, full scholarship.
Yep.
Yeah.
None of that stuff was there.
Yep. Yep. And he ain't there no more. So
yeah.
Career basically done now. But
scholarships are a tricky thing because I don't think a lot of people understand.
It really is.
Yeah. And like people don't understand. Hey, you hear full ride, you think guys, and you see all these guys transferring. It's not because they just want to go to a different school. They got their offers pulled a lot of times.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. And you see guys from West Virginia, Syracuse, take a step down just to play.
Yeah.
And you see, so when they say, honestly, when I hear a lot of that, oh, well, you was at this school, but people don't realize probably 65% of everybody on the field has a D1 offer under their belt going into college. People don't realize that. Like a true D1 from a big power school.
Rashawn Gary. That was the kid's name. I just looked it up. Rashawn Gary is from New Jersey. Rashawn Gary was in the same class as my nephew, and so it's like they kind of like linked up. They was all cool and stuff like that. But Rashawn Gary, he was a monster. He was a monster.
He built like a 3. In some ways, he's built like a 3, but he got the explosiveness of a true DN.
Exactly. He was 6'5". My nephew was only.
He a freak athlete.
Yeah.
But he underperformed at Michigan. That was the biggest knock on him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Green Bay's been going after those type of players recently because I think the draft before that they want Jair Alexander, who's small corner dude that's incredibly athletic.
Yep. And gifted. Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, they seem to be working towards that. All right, guys. I appreciate y'all so much for coming on. I shine, Jalen. Guys, I got to get ready to go. I haven't eaten yet. But I appreciate y'all, man. I really do. Yeah.
Yeah, I done took the dog out, let him eat.
Yeah.
We sit there just chilling.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But hey, guys, we're gonna keep doing this, man. I'll if I can get the guys on, Mike and Reese, then we'll do a Battle Birds podcast. But if not, I'm gonna try to come on every Saturday during the season and stuff, and always obviously throughout training camp. And we could do different conversations, different talks. We did initial 53 man roster today. I don't know. Maybe next week we can do some camp heroes and stuff like that, man, and just talk about how we're going to put guys in positioning, who we think's going to start. Go over depth chart maybe.
Whatever's clever,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
I love talking Eagles and football in general.
Yeah. Definitely. All right, guys. We appreciate y'all so much, man. For the 21 of y'all that held on for 3.5 hours, man. Appreciate y'all.
My fault, y'all.
Big time.
Yeah, sorry about
Yeah.
that.
Hey, no, I appreciate it, man. It was a good conversation. Like, got into a lot of stuff, man. Talking about scholarships, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it's probably enlightening for a lot of people out there because they don't get to see the process.
Yeah,
You get what
exactly,
I'm saying?
yeah.
Yeah. And plus, I'll say it like this: true recruiting is a different ball game in itself. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
a that's
I
an
thought
episode
when
for
I was
another
in
day.
high school, Jalen, I thought every scholarship was full ride.
Nope.
Exactly. Yeah, you
Not
gotta
at
learn the
all.
hard way. Yeah, you gotta learn the hard way.
I
That's
got my
not true.
first.
Yeah.
I got my first my first 3 offers. So it was Gardner Webb, Norfolk State, and what the heck was it? Was it Tennessee, Chattanooga? It was some school in Tennessee. So
Gardner
those were
Webb.
my first 3 in my junior year.
Yeah.
Then next thing you know, oh, well, they've offered you already. We want to pick and prod you. And from there, like all your D1 schools were like, okay, if this guy moves out, you'll slide right on in.
Yeah.
And I saw that happen. And then they start pulling them at the drop of a hat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, look, I remember being invited to go watch a football game a couple of years ago for Lenore Ryan. I didn't even know that was a college in North Carolina. And I live in North Carolina.
I'll say it like this: depending on what year you went,
Mm-hmm.
Lenore Ryan used to be a runner up in the D2 championship.
Oh, it was a couple years ago. It was Kyle Duggar. That's who I went. That's who I walked away and go.
Oh
Who is
yeah.
this dude?
Yeah, no. I played against Kyle Duggar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was beast, bro. He was a beast.
Yeah, safety. I heard of him. I remember him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I walked away and I was like, man, I don't know who that dude is, but he could play.
Yeah. Fastest one on the field.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Dude he was a freak.
I still remember the game plan. One is pretty good. He's going to be a little bit of everywhere. He's going to play in the box. He's going to drop back a little bit, but he's going to be everywhere. And truthfully, he was everywhere.
You know, the crazy thing is that State, Carolina, Duke, Wake, App, ECU, everybody.
They all right there.
Yeah, all of them missed on him.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I appreciate y'all. Let me get out of here before we get on another hour about Lenore Ryan.
Don't forget Elon.
Kyle Duggar. Yeah, I know Elon very well. I'm literally 20 minutes down the street, man.
Yeah.
All right, it was nice talking with you guys.
All right.
Yeah, appreciate you, Aishan. I appreciate you, Jalen.
All right. Take care,
guys.
All right, later.